Welcome back, guys. We're excited to present you with another Tower of God video today. Due to the amount of chapters to cover the whole Hell Train arc, we decided to split this mega storyline into 5 parts. And in this video, we're going to be covering the first part within the Hell Train arc. Feel free to jump right into it, but if you want to find out everything that's happened in Tower of God up until now, we highly recommend you check out our previous videos. With that said, we hope you're ready for this, because we're about to tell you the whole story behind the Revolution Road storyline to kick off the Tower of God Hell Train arc. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. The Revolution Road. Our story opens when Kun gets a call from his old friend Shibisu. We find out that a month has passed since the events of the workshop battle, as Shibisu and Kun catch up with each other. Their conversation is interrupted when Kun hears members of Team Shibisu bullying their leader for some drinks. But Shibisu himself keeps things on point by asking Kun about what's happening with his own team. Kun replies by telling his friend that everything's going well. That's because adding Bomb to their team doesn't just give them some much needed edge for the climb. But Kun also admits that the other members of his team have grown quite strong. Hearing this, Shibisu can't help but comment that Kun pretty much has a super team in his hands, considering that the big 3 is back together, namely Kun, Bomb, and Rak. With that, Shibisu ends the call and wishes Kun well, telling his old friend that he and his team will be waiting for them to catch up. Shibisu drops the call and sends one last text message to Kun's pocket, congratulating the team. More interestingly though, is that Shibisu also sends a follow-up text telling Kun that he doesn't recommend that they ride the Hell Train. Still, reading this doesn't dissuade Kun. He thinks Shibisu is worrying too much and just disregards the message. From there, Kun walks along the hallway of their home, as he gives us a lowdown on the recent things that have happened in the Tower of God manhwa. Primarily, Kun remembers how he and his team were successfully able to reunite with Bomb. Still, he's worried about a few more things. For one, Emily is currently nowhere to be seen after the whole debacle that transpired aboard the Archimedes. Then, there's the fact that Kasano must be planning something huge with Emily. But at the forefront of Kun's thoughts, he wonders where Fug is right now. He reminds himself that Apple, Michael, and Rachel tried to set him up, so he becomes even more resolute that he's going to put hands and take out Rachel when Kun finds her, regardless if Bomb tries to stop him. Kun's dark musings are cut short when Rak crashes into him while the reptilian warrior was running along the hallway. It turns out that Rak is trying to get away from Quattro Blitz as he chases Rak and invites him to play with him. The two run off, but not before yelling at Kun to come to the conference room in 5 minutes because Rak will be explaining their upcoming Hell Train trip to the rest of the team. Left alone, Kun sighs and thinks that getting the band back together is good news for everyone, at least for now. Somewhere else inside the house, Yiwa Yon does some research on the Hell Train where she finds out that it's a D-rank express vehicle that takes its passengers from the 35th to the 43rd floor. In addition to that, passengers of the Hell Train also have the opportunity to arrive on the rumored hidden floor if they manage to survive until the end of the trip. It all seems convenient. That is until you find out that the Hell Train is also an extremely difficult challenge that pits any and all D-rank regulars. Yiwa even finds out that there's an infamous Hell Train passenger known as Sachi Faker, the Ticket Hunter, a dangerous individual who has the special ability to manipulate Shinsu and is a specialist when it comes to one versus many combat scenarios. Learning about all of this makes Yiwa wonder if it's fine that she's carrying on her climb with Kun's team. To further complicate matters, Yiwa reminds herself about the ring that she saw Wanyan had earlier, the same one that she's sure had the Jihad family crest on it. This in turn rouses suspicions within Yiwa, as she questions what Wanyan might be hiding from the rest of the team. Yiwa is interrupted when Hwaryun arrives and checks up on her. Hwaryun tells her that Yiwa can ask her anything if she has any concerns. In reply, Yiwa tries to play it cool and tell Hwaryun that she was just studying the Hell Train. Still, Hwaryun presses her on and insists that Yiwa make full use of her capabilities now that Hwaryun is the team's guide. Yiwa loses her patience and tells Hwaryun that she doesn't need any help from a criminal, especially one who has ties to Fug. But Hwaryun being Hwaryun, she just continues to prod at Yiwa and bait her into finding out why she's guiding Kun's team. Being that master tease that she is, Hwaryun then leaves Yiwa and tells her that she's probably not ready to hear what she has to say. Before exiting though, Hwaryun tells Yiwa about something ominous, that she better not dig too deep about Wanyan, because she might find out about the worst mistake that the 10 great families and Jihad had made. Well, suffice it to say that this just makes Yiwa even more curious, as she stands in the middle of the room slack-jawed when she hears this. Meanwhile, Wanyan and Bomb are watching over Hworyang, who is still unconscious after the events of the workshop battle. We see that Bomb has fallen asleep by Hworyang's bedside, while Wanyan quietly blames himself for what happened to their friend. Wanyan thinks that he put Hworyang and everyone else in harm's way when he decided to participate in the workshop battle. He acknowledges that he's still weak, and in order to prevent things like this from happening again, Wanyan promises that he'll become stronger. Curiously enough, he mentions one word before he snaps out of his doldrums, and that word is mother. Wanyan then decides to get some fresh air, so he leaves Hworyang's room. Outside, he sees Beta approaching, who tells Wanyan that he's come to visit Hworyang. To Beta's credit, he seems to have become more level-headed since the last time we saw him. For one, Beta admits that Hwoarang is pretty much like a brother to him. Plus, Beta even goes as far as saying that he's partly to blame for what happened to the big guy. When Wanyan tries to talk to him, Beta suddenly snaps back into his usual defensive, obstinate state. He tells Wanyan that his daily medication isn't a problem anymore, since he was able to grab the ingredients he needs to make them from Wokai Song. More interestingly, we find out that Beta has set his crosshairs on that traitor Kasano. In the end, he tells Wanyan to basically just focus on getting on the Hell Train and bringing Kasano with him. It turns out that Run and Novik have overheard their conversation as the two walk together along the hallway. Run then takes Beta by surprise when he invites the boy to join their team, since they're hunting Kasano as well. In the meantime, we see Yiwa thinking about what Hwoarang just told her about Wanyan. Yiwa wonders if he is someone similar to the baby Zagina, by which she means that he has to hide his existence in the tower as well. Yiwa ultimately thinks that continuing her climb would mean that she has to inevitably face one of the Yon family's biggest mistakes and that she has no choice in the matter. But make no mistake, it's not like Yiwa's feeling pressured right now. In fact, she's gained a degree of newfound confidence, all thanks to the fact that she's decided to follow Bomb until the end of their journey. At the same moment, Yiwa fetches Bomb for their upcoming meeting about the Hell Train. Yiwa sees Bomb hanging at the balcony and just falls short of admitting that she finds him cute with his new haircut. She then asks Bomb why he keeps coming back here every day, to which he replies that he's looking at the sky. Of course, Yiwa has no idea what he's talking about, as Bomb explains that there's a broad, endless sky lit up by twinkling stars outside the tower. Yiwa asks him where he got this idea, and Bomb simply answers by telling her that someone told it to him in the past. In any case, Yiwa drops the whole topic and tells Bomb that they should head for the meeting now. Somewhere else, Run and Novik continue to recruit Beta to Team Novik, telling the boy that he would be an asset, since he knows more about Kasano than anyone else around them. But Beta has his doubts about teaming up with Run and Team Novik. Beta tells him that he doesn't even know why Run and the others are looking for Kasano on their own. In addition to that, Beta admits that he couldn't even board the Hell Train even if he wanted to, given that he's not a regular. In answer to this, Run tries to further entice Beta by telling the boy that there's a way that they could get him aboard the Hell Train and that he'll share their motives with him once Beta decides to join. Meanwhile, Wanyan asks himself why they are hunting down Kasano, but he drops it and instead tells everyone else that it's time to head over to the meeting. Before going their separate ways though, Run asks Beta one more time if he wants to join their team and find Kasano. Shortly after, everyone gathers inside the conference room where Hwoarang presides over the meeting. She then explains that they're going to board the Hell Train a year from now before giving everyone a briefing about what the trip entails. We find out that the Hell Train stops on every floor starting from the 35th floor. More importantly, any Hell Train passenger is required to have an express ticket to board it. The long and short of it is that the express ticket serves as a free pass that allows you to get on and off the Hell Train at any of its stops. There's one huge problem though. Acquiring an express ticket is an absolute pain in the backside. You can't just purchase it from any shop, you have to steal it. It turns out that there are always 100 express tickets at any given time. In order for them to grab one, they have to take it from the other regulars who already possess it. To make matters more difficult, they also have to fend off other regulars who are planning to steal these things once they get their hands on it. Hwoarang goes on to tell that the Hell Train is such a challenge that surveys have revealed that there are usually less than 5 D-rank regulars who are able to hold on to their express ticket at the beginning of the Hell Train's trip every year. So much so that the express ticket has gained a reputation as the ticket to hell. Hwoarang then warns her group that boarding the Hell Train at their current state would be a death wish, a sentiment that Prince takes an issue with. Still, Hwoarang reiterates that they'll die for sure if they decide to get on the train now, so she suggests a game plan. Particularly, Hwoarang tells them that they should separate from Bomb and regroup when they all reach the 35th floor after a year. This will allow the rest of their group to stop relying on him so much and allow each member to improve their skills during the period, which would in turn give them enough power to withstand whatever challenges await them aboard the Hell Train. So Hwoarang elects to take Bomb and Rock all the way up to the 35th floor, while Kun takes charge of Team Sweet and Sour. Prince continues to rant about Hwoarang, but he shuts up when he notices Wanyan completely agreeing with her plan. Wanyan then shares that he's made up his mind about becoming strong enough to get his own express ticket and eventually turn into someone that the rest of the group could look to for direction. With everything set, Hwoarang declares the end of their meeting after telling the group that they'll meet within a year at the platform of the Hell Train's first stop, which is located in a place called Train City. She wishes the group well and sends them away. However, Hwoarang calls for Kun before he could exit the conference room. She then tells Kun that she knows his secret, that he's been assembling a team behind Bomb in order to hunt down Rachel and give her some much-needed comeuppance. Hwoarang then correctly surmises that the reason Kun agreed with her plan was because it would give him and his team more of an opportunity to look for Rachel without Bomb finding out. Hwoarang, however, warns Kun that he should be careful about Bomb discovering this secret. As she explains, Bomb isn't the same person that Kun knew way back when they first met. In fact, Hwoarang goes on to say that Bomb is pretty much the best cheat code on their floor right now, given that he's a guy who can single-handedly flatline an entire team of E-rank regulars. More strikingly, Hwaryun tells Kun that although she thinks that the team he has assembled is strong, Rachel has an even more dangerous card up her sleeve and that she could defeat him. Hearing this, Kun's not at all too worried. He tells Hwaryun that he has more cards than she thinks. In addition to that, Kun expressly states that he thinks Hwaryun is his enemy as well. He then leaves the conference room and meets up with Bam just outside. Bam asks him what he and Hwaryun talked about, but he deflects the topic and instead tells Bam and Rock that he feels bad about separating from one another again after all this time. Still, Kun wishes his best friend well and promises that they'd meet again in a year's time. Kun walks away, while Bam and Rock can't help but shake off the feeling that something's wrong with him. Somewhere else, Rachel's team are having a meeting of their own. Former Team Kun members Apple and Michael are seen busying themselves in front of a computer, as another as-yet unnamed female member of Team Rachel asks them for a status report. We find out that Apple has been trying to bring Emily back online, which shouldn't be a problem for her. However, she expresses concern about boarding the Hell Train. Another unnamed Team Rachel member who looks like a boy hears this and tells everyone that they have to go to that place and that they're destined to get aboard the Hell Train. The female member then tells Apple that she dislikes the guy. More interestingly, she refers to the boy as an old guy who's gone back once. In reply, Apple tells her teammate that they have no choice but to let him join the group, since he's a D-rank regular. Apple then goes on to explain that their game plan is pretty much similar to what Hwaryun has been cooking, that they'd meet at Train City a year from now. The hooded boy then warns the rest of the team that the Hell Train isn't going to be a walk in the park. While all this is happening, we see that Bam's group has each made their own preparations for the coming event, as Kun and Team Sweet and Sour board a ship and leave their base. Somewhere else, on the 123rd floor of the tower's middle area, Princess Repelista Jihad is inside her room playing video games. Her butler, Alumik, walks in and tells her to get some sleep. But Repelista protests and tells Alumik that she'd rather make the most of her downtime, so she'll just keep on playing. The butler then knowingly tells Repelista that they're probably expecting a guest soon. In any case, Alumik bids the princess a good night and leaves her room. Not long after, Princess Yuri Jihad and her sidekick Evan arrive in front of Repelista's estate where a platoon of Jihad royal guards are waiting. Yuri instantly recognizes that her sister Repelista is playing a prank on her by forcing her to go against the royal guards. On the other hand, Evan thinks that they shouldn't have come here in the first place. But Yuri is not hearing any of it, telling him that Repelista sent her a super vague message telling her to meet. For his part though, Evan thinks that Repelista has just been messing around with them all this time. He then suggests for Yuri to call off the royal guards, since they have no choice but to obey her commands over Repelista's, given that Yuri has a higher rank in the princess's pecking order. Yuri's a bit reluctant about this, since she wants to have some fun fighting the guards. Still, she takes Evan's advice and commands the guards to leave. However, Yuri realizes that the guards have ignored her order, so she starts to relish the opportunity to take them out. A fight ensues, as Alumik calmly has a cup of tea at the balcony nearby. Yuri makes quick work of the guards by unleashing a devastating flame attack that manages to take out each and every one of them in a single blow. A few moments later, Repelista is surprised to see Yuri climbing through her bedroom window. Yuri's furious, so she punishes her sister for playing a prank on her with the guards. When things calm down, Repelista asks Yuri if she arrived with Evan. She tells her that Evan is with Alumik right now, and we find out that he is confronting the butler at this very moment. You see, Evan has issues about Alumik and Repelista baiting them with information about Bam. So he asks the butler where they're trying to lead Yuri. Meanwhile, Yuri chastises Repelista for being an absolute gremlin while on vacation. She then reminds her sister about the favor Yuri had asked her. Hearing this, Repelista plays coy and messes with Yuri, telling her that she doesn't remember anything about a favor. Frustrated, Yuri reminds Repelista that she had to go through the trouble of requiring a baby Zagina so that she'd do the favor. Repelista then stops messing with Yuri and asks her about what she'd do now that she's offended the Yon family. In reply, Yuri tells Repelista that Yurik Mazzino doesn't care about it, but it's a different story for her. Still, Repelista isn't worried, as she tells Yuri that everything would work out eventually. Yuri's ears perk up when Repelista moves the topic of their conversation to the favor that her sister had asked her to do. She then hands over an envelope to Yuri, telling her sister that it's a present for getting her a baby Zagina. When Yuri opens it, she finds that the envelope contains an express ticket to the Hell Train. Yuri's not at all too pleased with this. She tells Repelista that although she's aware that these tickets are hard to come by, she has no use for them. That's because Yuri knows that the Hell Train only allows D-rank regulars aboard. However, Repelista assures Yuri that she'll be able to board the Hell Train. And keeping true to her promise, Repelista reveals that Yuri's going to want to do just that because Bam would also be there in a year's time. The revelation shocks Yuri. She asks her sister if she's saying that Bam is actually still alive, and Repelista pretty much confirms it. She even teases Yuri that it's all the more reason for her to get on the Hell Train, and she's going to teach her how she could get on it without being a D-rank regular. Somewhere nearby, Evan tells Illumik that he and Repelista should stop whatever they're doing. Evan is convinced that the two are leading Yuri to a wild goose chase since he thinks that Bomb is dead. However, Illumik enlightens Evan about the truth, that Bomb is alive. The butler then goes on to explain that the reason Bomb survived the test floor all those years ago was because he's an irregular. More interestingly, we find out from Illumik that the tower doesn't just open for any irregular. In fact, it only lets people in when it needs something, whether it's stability, change, revolution, or liberty. As such, he tells Evan to just wait and see what Bomb would bring to the tower. Evan tries to know more about what Illumik's talking about, but the butler bids him farewell. Just in time, too, because Yuri barges in on them and literally drags Evan away, as she tells him that they have to go right now. Moments later, just outside the mansion, Yuri informs Evan that she's gotten confirmation that Bomb is alive. Evan is skeptical at first, but he eventually relents when he realizes that this information came from Repelista. Yuri goes on to tell Evan that she thinks the test floor itself had something to do with Bomb's disappearance. She surmises that whoever did it had planned on keeping Bomb's existence a secret from the Jahan family. Yuri then recalls Han Sung-yu and how shady it was for someone of his rank to go to the test floor back then. Evan asks Yuri if she's planning on going to the test floor to hunt him down, but she has other plans. She tells Evan that she's going to leave the search for Han Sung-yu to the other guys, while the two of them get on the Hell Train. Evan protests against this but ultimately agrees, thinking that Yuri reuniting with Bomb is fate. It can't be avoided no matter what they do. We then flash forward to a year later, and we see that a train is currently chugging along a track on the 35th floor as it makes its way to Train City. An announcer inside the train tells its passengers that there's going to be a concert held within the train's central hall, headlined by a famous D-rank regular idol named Yura Ha. And in 3 days' time, once they've arrived in Train City, the Hell Train would finally start its journey through the floors of the tower. In the middle of all this, we meet a couple of D-rank regulars named Hanul Kang and Felix. We see them talking to another D-rank regular who they've started calling Teacher, a man who goes by the name Boro. Boro is busy reading news about Sachi Faker on his phone, while Kang and Felix praise him for being a commendable regular who was able to hold on to his express ticket until now. We then find out that the two actually hired Boro as a guide to help them get through the Hell Train's journey. Kang and Felix then ask Boro if he's ever seen Sachi Faker, to which the man replies by telling the two boys to keep things quiet and keep Sachi's name off their mouths. Still, Kang wouldn't listen and starts talking trash about Sachi Faker, telling Boro that the fabled ticket hunter isn't as strong as he's rumored to be. On the other hand, Felix tells his companions about another rumored regular named Juvial Grace, concluding that he suddenly disappeared after the workshop battle. Hearing all this, Boro thinks to himself and admits that he's interested in perhaps meeting this Juvial Grace. He then tells the boys to stop mentioning Sachi for fear that he might just pop out of nowhere if they keep doing it. At that moment, a lizard man wearing a hood enters the train car. Boro turns his head and notices that this guy's a ticket hunter, given that he has a couple of express tickets hanging from his sword handle. Boro starts to get on edge when he finds out about this. He surmises that this guy is currently looking for more tickets to add to his collection, so Boro decides to come up with a plan to get Kang out of the way if things start to become dicey. To do this, Boro tells Kang to get him a drink. The boy protests at first, but ultimately agrees to do it after a bit of convincing from Boro. With Kang gone, he thinks that he has one less thing to worry about. The lizard man starts walking toward their seats, as Boro does his best to avoid any trouble. But then, he notices the lizard man stop near their seats as he checks on his phone. A second later, the lizard man's eyes widen when he sees something on his screen. In the blink of an eye, the lizard man then attacks Boro with his needle, who springs into action by deflecting it with his own weapon. Both Boro and Felix then face off against their blue-skinned attacker, as the lizard man declares that he's going to steal Boro's ticket. Felix tries to get the jump on their enemy, but Boro stops him, telling the boy that he might die if he attacked the ticket holder. Now, if you're wondering why ticket holders are feared on this floor, remember that there are only 100 express tickets available at any given time. Given their low number, only the strongest D-rank regulars are able to acquire and hold on to them. In fact, the lizard man knows about this, which explains why he's attacked Boro. The guy charges up and unleashes a powerful slash that nearly wrecks the entire train car's interiors. Boro is able to protect himself using Shinsu, but Felix is knocked out from the lizard man's strike. Boro then asks the lizard man the numbers on the tickets he has, to which the guy tells him that it's 71 and 98. The lizard man then tells him that he killed the original owners of these express tickets. Ultimately, he plans on proving himself on the Hell Train by making every ticket holder under number 10 kneel before him. Upon hearing this, Boro simply tells the lizard man that he's a stupid rookie, because unlike him, Boro knows that the high rankers on the Hell Train are beyond any level that he could imagine. The lizard man rushes toward Boro, and he protects himself from the guy's attacks with his needle. Seeing Boro go on the defensive makes the guy think that he's a weakling, so the lizard man starts berating him. Boro then replies by telling his opponent that he might not be the strongest passenger on the Hell Train, but guys like this lizard man are a dime a dozen there. In the end, Boro almost effortlessly finds an opening in the lizard man's defenses, which allows him to bisect the ticket hunter with one powerful horizontal slash. With the lizard man dead, Boro gains a couple more tickets under his belt. All of a sudden, he sees that his fallen foe's phone has received a notification. He checks on it and we find out that the Emily app is back online. Boro, on the other hand, has no clue what the Emily app is all about. He only discovers its purpose when he starts checking the lizard man's phone further. When he does so, Boro finds out that Emily was the one who led the guy to him. He wonders how the app is able to do this, but eventually gets distracted when he reads a message on the Emily app informing him of an upcoming tournament that's going to be held at the Train City Testing Center. This particular contest will pit teams of participants against one another, with more express tickets as its reward. Moments later, Kang comes back to see the wreckage left after Boro's fight with the ticket hunter. The boy then tells Boro that there's another strange guy who suddenly appeared in one of the other cars. Boro and Kang then decide to check it out. When they get there, they see a young man surrounded by the unconscious bodies of the other passengers around him. Somewhere else, on a completely different passenger train, we see that Run has straight up massacred an entire boxcar's worth of regulars. One of the last survivors yells at Run, calling him a murderous monster. In his defense, Run tells the dude that the only reason he killed all the other people inside the car was because they attacked him first when they saw him holding an express ticket. On the other hand, Run doesn't hide the fact that he enjoys the opportunity of getting to take out people with a single flash of his express ticket. Run then exterminates the last surviving passenger. Afterwards, he concludes that D-rank regulars on the lower floors of the Hell Train's route are weak and that maybe he should look for ticket numbers with lower numbers instead. Shortly after, Beta enters from another car to report that he's annihilated all of its passengers, but not one of them possessed an express ticket. Beta then grills Run about finding Kasano, and the two boys get into an argument about their deal. It only stops when the other Team Novik members, such as Novik himself, Eden Dan, and Shia arrive. They report that they've wiped out the entire train of its passengers, but failed to acquire an express ticket from any of them. We then find out that Team Novik currently has 3 express tickets on hand, which means that they need a couple more for the whole crew to be able to board the Hell Train. Run thinks about splitting up their team and meeting at Train City Station so that they could look for more tickets efficiently. However, he stresses that they should focus on meeting the other teams boarding the Hell Train first, since it would give them a chance to scout the place and find Kasano. Run then goes on to tell the rest of the group that Emily is now back online, which can only mean that Kasano is planning something big. After that, Shia tells everyone about the announcement on the Emily app referring to the upcoming team tournament to be held at Train City. Shia thinks that this whole tournament might be a trap that Kasano has set for the other passengers. Run agrees and they decide to join the contest regardless. Back on the other train, we find out that the strange guy that Kang was referring to is none other than Bomb. Bomb asks the people in the car if they have any express tickets and tells them that he's looking for people who would join the upcoming tournament with him. This turn of events just makes Boro all the more suspicious about Bomb. In fact, he even starts grilling Kang for leading him to this guy and demands that he explain himself. Boro then starts questioning Bomb about the tournament. To explain it, Bomb shows him his phone where the same message from the Emily app that Boro saw is on screen. Boro notices that it's the same message from the Lizard Man's phone and starts to feel out of the loop when he notices that even the train conductor knows about the Emily app. Bomb then goes on to tell Boro about Emily's features. Things calm down a bit afterwards, but Boro continues to put Bomb on the hot seat, asking him why exactly they should team up for the upcoming tournament. In response, Bomb tells him that everyone on the Hell Train will die during the ride if they fail to stop someone he only refers to as them. Meanwhile, Team Nova continues to have a meeting about what to do next. Run has decided to join the tournament, but Dan protests against this. In response, Run uses Dan's insecurities against him to force him to go along with his plan. They then get a message from Kun telling them to go ahead, as he and Team Sweet and Sour will be a day late to their agreed rendezvous. Novik wonders if something's going on with Kun to reschedule like this, but Run reminds him that they have their own mission to worry about. Their meeting ends as Beta and Run get into another argument. Meanwhile, Novik checks up on Dan and asks him what's wrong. Dan tells him that he has this feeling that whoever is behind Emily is dangerous. Still, Dan can't put his finger on it. A few moments later, Team Novik hears an announcer speak through the train's public announcement system that they're arriving at Train City. Soon, each and every one of them get ready for whatever it is that's coming. Back at Bomb, Boro is shocked with what he just heard from Bomb. Bomb then goes on to explain that their enemy is using Emily to gather people with express tickets all in one place so that they could take it from them. In the end, they'd be able to take over the Hell Train. Still, Boro is not entirely convinced yet, and he thinks to himself that Bomb is just another guy who has never been on the Hell Train. He then asks Bomb who this enemy is that the boy's been referring to, and we finally find out that Bomb has actually started to think that Rachel might be his enemy, as he mentions her to Boro. In yet another passenger train headed for Train City, we find out that Team Rachel has been making moves of their own. This time, we see the unnamed hooded boy from earlier having managed to murder the train's passengers. Not only that, but he's gotten several express tickets from them along the way. The hooded boy goes on to take out the last remaining survivor on the train and take his ticket before receiving a call on his pocket. The person on the other end asks him if he's done his job, and he reports that he has the tickets that they need. Before ending the call, however, he tells his teammate to tell Rachel that he'll join up with him as soon as he takes care of one thing first. And as the train he's on announces that they're soon arriving at Train City, the hooded boy declares that the tournament is going to be so much fun. Meanwhile, Boro continues to question Bomb. This time, he asks about Rachel, to which Bomb informs him that she's a new D-rank regular. It doesn't help Bomb's case though, as Boro thinks that there's no way a newly minted D-rank regular like Rachel could take over the Hell Train. However, his tone changes when Bomb mentions that Rachel could do it because Fug has her back. We then find out that this might not be the first time that Boro has had a run-in with the notorious criminal organization, as he wonders why Fug would be interested in the Hell Train again. Seeing no other option, he agrees to Bomb's proposal to team up for the tournament on one condition, that Boro gets to choose the other members of their team. Bomb's okay with this, and Boro ends up drafting Kang and the train conductor to their team, seeing that Felix is already out of commission. To the train conductor's credit, she actually gets excited when Boro picks her. Afterwards, Boro then tells Kang to grab the 2 tickets he got from the lizard man in the other car. So they make their way towards it. As they do, Boro inquires further about Rachel's involvement with Fug and how Bomb was able to discover the tournament. In reply, Bomb gets a bit cheeky with his answer and simply tells Boro that a member of his team is from Fug, which explains how he found out about all this. A flashback then reveals that Bomb met with Hwaryun before setting off towards Train City. During this meeting, Hwaryun informed him about the tournament and that an important Fug member was assigned to Train City. In addition to that, Hwaryun was pretty sure that Fug knew about Bomb's plans to get on the Hell Train and that the organization would do everything to capture him there. Not only that, but she even told Bomb that there was a chance Karaka would be participating in this year's Hell Train ride. But what really sealed the deal for Bomb was when Hwaryun told him that Rachel was going to be on the Hell Train too. Hearing her name, Bomb asked Hwaryun why Rachel would be there. In answer, she could only think of 2 things. One, either Rachel was being used as bait to capture Bomb, or, according to Hwaryun, it might just be that Rachel missed him. In any case, Hwaryun ordered Bomb to join the tournament and search for potential teammates on the passenger trains. Back in the present, Boro, Kang, Bomb, and the conductor arrive on the next train car to see that a couple of random regulars have stolen the Lizard Man's tickets. Boro sees this as an opportunity to gauge Kang's strength, so he tells the boy to reclaim the tickets and save Felix from the 2 guys in front of them. Plus, we also get the minor reveal that Felix is actually a girl. Kang reluctantly agrees and promptly gets his butt kicked when he approaches the random regulars. Bomb sees this unfold and he tells Boro that it's okay even if their team isn't made up of strong members. According to Bomb, all he needs is to fill up the number of teammates needed for the tournament. On that note, he tells Boro to take care of the other regulars that might stand in their way while he personally handles any regular that Fug might send against them. In the end, Boro agrees to this, as the train conductor jumps in to help Kang stop getting dunked on by the random regulars inside the train car. In another completely different private train, which also happens to be the same one that D-rank regular pop idol Yura Ha is on, a voice on the radio makes an announcement. We find out that the voice belongs to Karos, the administrator of the test and the Hell Train event this year. He then goes on to give a lowdown on the schedule of the upcoming Hell Train ride and the tournament happening before that. Yura Ha shuts off her radio after hearing all of that and declares that the public are idiots. But more strikingly, we find out that she has an envelope containing an express ticket and a photo of Bomb inside it. Yura then tells Bomb that he's an idiot as well, before declaring that they'll see each other soon. Not long after that, Felix wakes up to find that she's been patched up. Boro and the rest of the group then get her up to speed with everything that's happened until now. Still a bit shaken, Felix can't help but wonder why the train conductor is with them. After explaining everything, Boro apologizes to Felix for not being able to join their team due to her injuries. Felix understands, and the train conductor promises her that if they find an additional express ticket, they're definitely going to give it to Felix. We then get acquainted with the train conductor, as she tells everyone that her name is Hana Yu. She then goes on to inform them that she's a light bearer. More interesting is the fact that she pretty much wants to climb the tower to fulfill her dream of becoming a pop star like her idol, Yura Ha. Hana tells everyone that she looks forward to attending Yura's concert happening at the Central Hall. And we find out that Felix too is an avid fan of the famous D-rank regular pop idol. Boro then tells his team not to get too excited, since they still have to make it to Train City safely first. Bomb asks him what he meant by that, since the train's announcer had already told them that they're arriving in the city soon. Boro then clarifies that there's actually one last barrier waiting for anyone who wants to visit Train City. According to him, the barrier shouldn't be too difficult to overcome, but they have to be prepared for it or else one of them might die. And as if on cue, the train they're on announces that they're arriving soon at Train City Station. Bomb and his newly formed team alight the vehicle and are greeted by a large elevator. Somewhere else, we find out that Team Novik has gotten off their train and come across another one of the city's elevators. A sign welcoming them to Train City is posted above the elevator door, as they notice the different buttons indicating the different floors within the city. Shia proposes to the rest of her team that it would be best for each of them to rest up for the upcoming tournament, so they should make for the second floor leading to Train City's residential area. However, Beta opposes this and instead tells everyone that they should start looking for Kasano right now. He and Shia get into an argument, while Novik thinks about going to the restaurant on the third floor. Hearing this, Dan finds it a bit strange that the location of the stadium is being advertised so obviously. In the middle of the team's debate as to where they should go next, Ron takes it upon himself to press the button to the first floor leading to the entrance to Train City. Meanwhile, Bomb asks Boro where they should head first. Hana proposes going to the skyscraper on the 6th floor, but Boro immediately rebuffs this, telling her they're not on vacation. Bomb, on the other hand, suggests checking the residential area so that he can meet up with his friends. And when someone asks if they should head for the entrance on the first floor, Boro reveals that it's the worst idea possible. As he reveals it, the first floor has so-called guardians that could give them problems. So Boro heeds Bomb's request and they decide to go to the residential area instead. We also see a shadowy figure that is looking at Bomb from afar. Boro notes that the elevator has a delay on every floor, meaning that they'd have to wait for it to arrive. In the meantime, Felix's condition seems to be worsening, but Boro reassures him that they'll make it in time to get her to a medical bay. Boro then turns to Bomb and asks him if his friends are already at the residential area. This proves to be just an opening for Boro to start grilling Bomb about his affiliations, but they're interrupted when Hana suggests that they head for the entrance instead. Again, Boro tells her that there's a guardian waiting for them there, and he finally explains that Train City's guardian is the gatekeeper in charge of keeping the doors to Train City's entrance closed until tomorrow. While this is happening, Team Novik has found themselves right in front of the first floor entrance where a tailed man is seen sitting with his back turned away from the group. Ron and his crew wonder what the man is doing there, and their curiosity is piqued further when he stands up from his seat. The guardian then tells them to turn back, since it's not yet time to open the city's gates. Ron couldn't get a hint, so he asked the guardian what he meant by that before insisting to let him and his companions enter. Things just escalate from there, as the guardian interprets this as a challenge. So he tells the group that he's going to eliminate each and every one of them. Back at Bomb's group, Boro starts to grill Bomb again. This time he starts asking about what Bomb knows about Fug. Bomb does his best to deflect the questions before throwing back the question to Boro. Boro says that he had a run-in with Fug in the past, during his first Hell Train trip. He then wonders if it's smart for Bomb's so-called friend to go after the organization even after they already escaped it. To which the boy simply replies that he hopes everything will be resolved aboard the Hell Train. The elevator finally arrives to pick up Bomb's team, as we get a flashback to his previous meeting with Hwaryun. We find out that Hwaryun had specifically ordered Bomb to pick new teammates for the upcoming tournament. Or more specifically, Bomb should choose a new team made up of people he won't care about should they perish. That's because according to Hwaryun, the challenges from the tournament and the Hell Train will surely bring casualties. So it's better for Bomb to just pick random people he wouldn't have to worry about instead of letting his friends accompany him on this dangerous quest. In the present, Ron and Team Novik deliberate about what to do with the Guardian. But there's no time for that, as their opponent makes his intentions known when he shoots Team Novik with a bunch of lasers. Shia uses her lighthouse to protect the group. When the dust settles, they notice that Ron has already jumped into action and is getting ready to lunge at the Guardian, swearing that he's going to see what's on the other end of the gate behind his enemy. While this is happening, we see that Bomb, Boro, and the rest of their group have finally arrived on the second floor. There, they see a large crowd of regulars gathered all around the residential area. Boro warns his team that everyone outside their crew and Bomb's inner circle should be considered enemies. That's because we also find out that each and every regular hanging around the second floor is hunting for a ticket holder right in front of their rooms. It turns out that only express ticket holders for the Hell Train are given accommodations at Train City's residential area, with their tickets serving as room keys. As such, all the other regulars go to this place to either ambush existing express ticket holders and steal their passes, or if they notice that any given ticket holder is super strong, they latch onto them as subordinates. This allows them to board the Hell Train, but not as so-called main participants. Boro suggests that they head for Bomb's friends right away and to stay on guard for anything that might happen. In fact, Hana is taken by surprise when a creepy random regular approaches her and invites him to join a faction of someone named Akka. Hana gets creeped out and the guy only backs off when he realizes that she and her group are with Boro, who the random regular recognizes and defers to. Bomb and the others ask what that was about, and Boro tells them that Akka is a greedy express ticket holder named Akka Williams. They try to inquire about how the tournament and the Hell Train actually work, but Boro just tells them that they'll cross that bridge when they get there. So they head over to room 52 where Bomb thinks his friends are staying. However, the group also notices that the other regulars have surrounded them while they were waiting for the room's doors to open. On the first floor, Beta is annoyed that Run has gone off on his own. But Dan reassures him that Run is actually putting the welfare of the team before him. They see that Run is serious about it too, as his appearance has changed after taking one of his lightning pills. This allows the rest of Team Novik to save up their strength for the tournament while Run deals with any extracurriculars. Beta's not entirely convinced that's the case, but Dan knows that Run is shaping up to be quite the leader. although he has his reservations about the boy shouldering everything on his own. Meanwhile, Run starts talking trash to get the Guardian off his game. The Guardian responds with his own smack talk and immediately attempts to crush Run with one of his gigantic spears. On the second floor, we see that the regulars have already been taken out. Hana, Kang, and Boro can't believe their eyes when they see that Bomb manages to defeat their attackers all by himself. They each acknowledge Bomb's strength, while Boro tells himself that he's seen Bomb's fighting style in the past. As if on cue, the doors of room 52 opens and we find out that Rak and Hwaryun are the ones starting there. They walk out to greet Bomb. While all of this is happening, another passenger train arrives at Train City station carrying Rachel's team. They get off the vehicle and prepare to head for the elevator. Just like the other teams we've seen, even Team Rachel aren't exempt from a bit of infighting, as its members argue about which floor to go to after arriving at Train City station. The unnamed female member suggests that they get a meal first, but she's rebuffed by another unnamed member of their crew. More interestingly, this unnamed member lets us know that his female companion is shady as all hell, mentioning that she has a habit of literally eating the men she's been with up until this point. In any case, the woman asks Kasano where they should go. As usual, Kasano stays sullen and tells everyone that he doesn't care about any of that. All that matters to him is finishing his mission on the Hell Train. They also ask about their other member, the hooded boy, and wonder if they should use the Emily app to locate him somewhere in the city. But they ultimately decide against this when they realize that the guy would show up sooner than later. In the end, Rachel makes a decision for the group, as she prepares to press a button on the elevator. In the meantime, Team Novik is mortified after seeing Run seemingly eat up the Guardian's spear. But they're pleasantly surprised when they look about to find that Run is alive and well after he uses his bang to completely dodge his enemy's attack. Run cocks back his arm and gets ready to hurl his lightning spear at the Guardian, as he promises himself that he'll never lose to the likes of Anak or Kasano again. He throws his lightning spear and hits the Guardian clean. However, the dust settles and we find out that the Guardian didn't even take a single bit of damage from Run's counterattack. Seeing this, Run prepares for another powerful technique, one that he didn't want to use right now, but he has no other choice. The battle between Run and the Guardian gets so heated that everyone in the room fails to notice the elevator door opening behind them some distance away. In the middle of the battlefield, Run is just about ready to lunge at his enemy when they hear a voice telling him to move away. We find out that this newcomer is none other than the unnamed male member from Team Rachel. Surprisingly, the guy jumps between the two combatants and absorbs the Guardian's attack, seemingly protecting Run in the process. A moment later, Novik and the others wonder who this dude is, who only tells them that he wasn't expecting for anyone to challenge the Guardian right out of the gate. Oh, and we also find out from this Team Rachel member that the Guardian has a name, Mirotic. He then comments on how there are a lot of powerful rookies this year. On the second floor, Bomb and his team are escorted by Rak and Hwaryun to their current accommodations. Boro then remarks that the residential area's rooms haven't changed, which makes Hwaryun realize that this isn't his first time participating in the Hell Train. In turn, Boro recognizes Hwaryun as a FUG member. He was just about ready to interrogate her when Hwaryun interrupts and tells Boro that any questions will have to wait. According to her, the game will begin soon. A second later, the phone inside the room rings and a voice on the other end announces the beginning of this game on loudspeaker. The voice from the phone then tells everyone that it's about time they began the game, since all the passengers meant to join this year's Hell Train event have already made their way to Train City. They then go on to explain the rules of this new game, which is called The Last 7. It's revealed that The Last 7 was specifically designed to allow regulars who don't have a ticket to board the Hell Train with a Hell Train boarding pass. The Hell Train boarding pass allows its owner to board the Hell Train, but unlike an express ticket, Hell Train boarding pass holders are not allowed to participate in the tournament. On the plus side, the Hell Train boarding pass allows its owner to get a chance to hunt down an express ticket holder aboard the Hell Train and steal their ticket. As for the last 7, the voice explains that the only goal in this game is to whittle away the regulars standing outside the residential area's apartments until only 7 is left. These 7 will then each get a Hell Train boarding pass. In this game, everyone can participate, whether you're a ticketless regular outside one of the residential area's rooms or even if you're an express ticket holder who already has a room of your own. Aside from that, it's a free-for-all. Contestants are welcome to use any tactic or method to sort out the last 7 regulars who would end up winning the game. All that said, the voice declares the start of the game. As you'd expect, the residential area becomes a bloodbath when the regular bystanders start murdering one another. Somewhere close, a ticket holder named Mahan talks to the same creepy regular who invited Hana to Aka's team earlier. They comment about how stupid the non-ticket holders are for instantly resulting to violence and murder before Mahan suggests that they recruit the final survivors to their crew once the dust settles. The other guy agrees with Mahan and tells him that he's really interested in signing Bomb to their team. It's revealed that he followed Bomb and the others and saw him take out a group of regulars earlier, which is why he's gotten so enchanted with the boy. Unknown to them, a blue-haired girl has just arrived on the second floor, carrying her luggage with her. Inside room 52, Bomb and the others see the massacre going outside their lodgings. Boro takes this opportunity to try and interrogate Hwaryun again, asking her how she knew that a game was going to start at that very moment. As always, Hwaryun plays coy and simply tells Boro that she's a guide. She then goes on to explain that the organizers of the Hell Train have come up with the last 7 to purge potential participants until only the strongest ones are left. This makes Hwaryun speculate that Fug must really want something from the Hell Train this year. When Boro hears this, he thinks to himself and wonders if Fug is trying to do that thing again. Hwaryun goes on to tell her group that Fug has made sure that their plans wouldn't be hindered by hiring external help, which comes in the form of skillful regulars. She then tells Boro and the others that their best course of action is to cooperate with her, Bomb, and Rak. Boro agrees and asks Hwaryun if she has any idea about the threats they're facing. She mentions that Fug hired a bunch of newly promoted E-rank regulars, but more concerning is that the organization also drafted the services of a well-known D-rank regular express ticket holder. This ticket holder also happens to be the same girl who just arrived on the 2nd floor. And when Hana checks the screen inside the room to see who it is, she instantly recognizes it as none other than the famous D-rank regular pop idol Yura Ha. Yura approaches the regulars on the 2nd floor and asks them if they want to team up with her. Meanwhile, on the 1st floor, the Team Rachel member has a nice little talk with Run. He recognizes Run's strength and correctly identifies him as a Kun family member. Then we finally get a name for this dude when he introduces himself as Daniel Hatched. And all things considered, Daniel seems to be a pretty chill chum. He praises Run for going toe-to-toe with Mirotic and even advises them to just stop fighting the Guardian after revealing that Mirotic is an illusion specialist who couldn't be defeated until City Train's entrance opens tomorrow. In the end, Daniel asks Run if he and his team are joining the tournament. Run answers this and wonders why Daniel is so curious, to which the Team Rachel member replies that he's joining the tournament as well. Inside room 52, Boro expresses his doubt that it's actually Yura Ha out there. But Hana insists otherwise and wonders what a famous D-rank regular pop idol like her is doing just outside their room. In the meantime, Yura has a calm conversation with the ticket list regulars and asks them to join her team instead. They recognize her as a celebrity and ask what she's even doing there, to which Yura tells them that she has quit her career as a pop idol in order to board the Hell Train. She reveals that the reason behind this decision is because there's something she wants to get her hands on aboard the Hell Train and that her upcoming concert would be her farewell performance. A random regular then asks Yura how she's planning on bringing them into her team, since there are only 7 available Hell Train boarding passes that would be available for the last 7's winners. In answer to that, Yura tells them that she already has 2 express tickets. She aims to use them to allow the rest of the regulars to get aboard the Hell Train and leave the winners of the last 7 with their boarding passes. The regulars consider her offer and ultimately agree to her proposal. On the sidelines, Mahan and his companion are annoyed that Yura interfered with their own recruitment efforts. But their annoyance turns to guarded fear when Mahan's companion senses that Yura has the same vibe as his boss, Aka. The last 7 game ends a few moments later. Inside room 52, Hana fangirls hard about how Yura was able to stop everyone from murdering one another simply by talking to them. Boro chastises her naivety before turning to Hwaryun and resuming their conversation about Fug. Bomb excuses himself, which prompts Boro to comment about how unfriendly he seems. He then asks Rak and Hwaryun if he's always been like that, to which Rak tells him no. In fact, Rak thinks something is definitely bothering his best friend. Boro and Hwaryun then start talking, and he informs her that he's had an experience dealing with Fug in the past, revealing that he knows what the organization must be looking for on the Hell Train. On the 1st floor, Ron acts all cool and tries to throw some shade at Daniel. Daniel, on the other hand, tells Ron to put a lid on it and that his team should really care that he's also participating in the tournament. This time, it's Daniel's turn to talk some trash, and boy is he good at it. Daniel tells Team Novik that there's absolutely 0 chance that they could defeat him in the tournament. Ron thinks Daniel is talking nonsense, so he stirs things up and tells him that they don't have to wait for the tournament. They can throw down right now. Ron charges up electricity in his body, but he's instantly humbled when Daniel gets through his defenses in the blink of an eye and teleports right beside Ron. But like we said, Daniel is a chill guy. Instead of attacking Ron right then and there, he simply tells the boy that he'll see him at the tournament. Daniel also says that he can't wait to feast upon Ron once he puts hands on him. He then teleports toward the elevator and bids Team Novik farewell. Back in room 52, Bomb sulks alone inside one of the apartment's rooms as he remembers his previous meeting with Hwaryun. He recalls how she told him that regardless of what happens, Bomb has to get stronger both physically and mentally in order to stand tall before Rachel. All of a sudden, everyone from Team Novik to Team Rachel get a notification from Emily informing them to come to the stadium at 2 in the afternoon tomorrow to participate in the upcoming tournament. Boro and Hwaryun then continue their conversation as he tells her about his experience with Fug in the past. It turns out that Boro had come face to face with a Fug Slayer nominee back when he first rode the Hell Train. He doesn't know their name, only that this person was one scary dude who silently hunted down the other passengers. In addition to that, he knows the same Slayer nominee had already gotten aboard the Hell Train hundreds of years in the past to hide something in it before Boro ever met him. Boro thinks that this thing is the same object that Fug is looking for right now. Inside the other room, Bomb gets a message on his pocket from Kun telling him that he's going to arrive at Train City tomorrow night. Hwaryun then walks in on him and tells Bomb to join the meeting inside their living room. There, Boro tells them that the Fug Slayer nominee he encountered in the past methodically killed each and every passenger on the Hell Train until only 5 of them remained. Boro was one of the 5 survivors. He then tells the group that of the 5, 1 ended up dying while the rest of them decided to forfeit the Hell Train. Curiously enough, Boro admits that there are some details he can't remember from the time. What he does recall is that the Fug Slayer nominee told him that he'll return to the Hell Train one day to reclaim the thing he left in it and that this road will become Revolution Road. We then find out that Boro has decided to search for whatever this thing is as a way to honor the friends he lost at the hands of the Slayer nominee. Hearing all this, Bomb wonders what Rachel is actually planning. Meanwhile, Rachel and her team finally meet with Daniel. They then finalize their plans as the unnamed hooded woman tells Rachel that the management office has pledged her services to them. On the other hand, Daniel tells everyone that they're going to set things in motion while everyone else is having a party tomorrow. The next day, at around 1 p.m., regulars on the residential area flock to the elevator to go up to the 4th floor stadium and participate in the tournament. However, a couple of random regulars have planted themselves in front of the elevator, turning away anyone who wants to get on it. We then see Team Novak walking towards them. At the same time, Bomb and his group are on the 3rd floor having a meal. We find out that they actually planned on doing this. According to Boro, regulars in the residential area usually block the elevator to prevent more participants from entering the tournament. But since they woke up early and headed for the 3rd floor restaurant today, they shouldn't have to worry about that. On the 2nd floor, we see that Run has just knocked out the guys blocking the elevator, as he tells the rest of Team Novak that it's now time to bag Kasano. An hour passes. It's now 2 p.m. and everyone is inside the 4th floor stadium. An announcer calls for the attention of the participants and lets them know that the prize for this contest is an express ticket. We also discover at this point that Rack doesn't have a ticket of his own. In any case, the announcer goes on to explain the rules of the tournament. There will be 5 members in each participating team. Anyone who doesn't have a team will be randomly assigned to one. A few moments later, the announcer shows the contestants the tournament's brackets, and we find out that Bomb's team will be going up against Team Yura in the Eliminators. On the other hand, Team Novak will be facing Team Akka. While all this is happening, Team Rachel has just arrived at a secluded spot inside Train City. Back on the 4th floor, Hana is absolutely delighted that she'll get to meet Yura face to face when they match up at the tournament. But Boro knows better. He's aware that Yura's team might spell big trouble for them, especially considering that Yura is from the Ha clan, one of the 10 great families. On the other hand, Bomb is surprised to see that Run and the rest of Team Novak are also participating in the tournament. At the same time, Run and Team Novak are checking the matchups. Novak thinks chances are slim that Kasano will be in Team Akka, which annoys Run. Meanwhile, Beta sees Bomb's name on the screen and expresses how much he wants to have a rematch with him. Run hears this and tells his teammate that their only priority right now is to nab Kasano. Everything else can wait. Shia then notices that Team Yura is actually referring to the popular pop star. And Run recalls the scrub he knocked out earlier, the one who was blocking the elevator. Back then, the guy told him that Yura would take all the other contestants' tickets and that he saw her true form. But the dude passed out before Run could press him about it. In the present, Shia checks her lighthouse to find information about Yura. But all she can find out is that she's a pop idol who has managed to rise to the level of D-rank regular at extreme speed. In the end, Novak and Run surmise that Yura is hiding something. On top of that, Run thinks to himself and says that he's more interested to see how stronger Bomb has gotten after all this time. After that, the announcer explains the rules of the tournament. According to the voice, it will consist of different game events, with each participating team required to deposit one of their express tickets to enter the game. Once a match begins, another participant from either team can jump in as long as they deposit an additional express ticket. Simply put, one person is equal to one ticket. At the end of every match, the winning team gets to walk away with all the deposited tickets pooled from both participating squads. The announcer then reveals that the grand prize of the tournament is a special high-number express ticket that allows its owner to board the front sector of the Hell Train. With that, the voice then tells every team that the event will commence in 10 minutes. In the meantime, Bomb's team gathers and comes up with a plan to win the whole thing. Boro is worried about Yura, given that she's a Ha, but Rack assures him that they're going to be fine. Not too far away, Yura expresses to one of her underlings that they're in a good position to acquire a lot of tickets from the other teams, telling them that there's no way they'd lose with her around. Back to Bomb's team, Boro tells the group that another squad from a different bracket called Team X seems the most suspicious in that it might have some Fug members in it. Then again, he also thinks that it's possible that Fug's agents have been scattered around the other teams as well. In any case, Waryun tells everyone to focus up. Given the rules of the tournament, she advises that their best course of action is to get consecutive victories and collect as many express tickets as they can. As far as their opponents go, she thinks that they should worry about Yura Ha the most. 10 minutes pass and the tournament starts. Team Bomb and Team Yura come face to face, as the announcer tells their leaders to approach the table at the center of the arena. Bomb and Yura do as instructed and come at spitting distance of each other. Yura then greets Bomb, and he's taken aback when she mentions him by his other moniker, Jovial Grace. The announcer then speaks and a yellow ball with horns and a single closed eye pops out of the table. as the voice announces that teams Bomb and Yura will be playing a game called the Crazy Yellow Ball. The announcer then gives us the rundown on how the Crazy Yellow Ball works. It's a game that's held on a Shinsu stage called a field. The main goal of the game is to score goals by reaching the goal post of the other team. A whistle will blow at the start of the game to signal a jump ball that would determine who gets first possession of the ball. On top of that, each team can only advance a maximum of 2 spaces on the field per possession. Once they cover a couple of spaces, the ball will be given to the other team and the game resumes. The announcer goes on to tell them that a player can only hold onto the ball for a maximum of 10 seconds at a time. Otherwise, the ball will get mad and turn into the Crazy Yellow Ball. Kang thinks that this game is very much similar to rugby. Meanwhile, Hwaryun watches Team Bomb from the stands and thinks that the game might work out in their favor. Considering that it's one that relies on more players, and given that they have more tickets compared to Team Yura, she believes Bomb's crew has the edge. All of a sudden, Run and Novik approach. They greet her and Run even makes it a point to call Hwaryun by her other name, Yuto. Hwaryun respectfully asks him not to call her that, but Run is having none of it. He then asks Hwaryun what scheme she's playing at now that she's rounded up everyone in Train City. Not long after that, the announcer declares the beginning of Team Bomb's match against Team Yura. We find out that Bomb's group has elected to use their tickets to allow more players on the field. Kang serves as their first-line striker, while Hana is the second-line defender. Over on the other side, we discover that Yura has used her 2 tickets to put herself and a guy named Pierre as her second-line defender on the field. Meanwhile, Team Bomb also has Rak and Boro serving as their group's goalies. Boro tells Rak that he really thinks that Yura is planning something shady. According to him, he finds it weird that she used her 1 extra express ticket to add a defender to the field, even though it's much more reasonable to assign either another striker or goalie to bolster their defense. With that in mind, Boro surmises that Yura will be playing box to box, meaning that she'll act both as a striker and defender for her team. In any case, the whistle blows and Bomb manages to grab first possession for his team. To everyone else's surprise, they notice that Yura hasn't moved a muscle. Meanwhile, Bomb calls on Kang to push toward the other end of the field. He passes the ball to Kang as he makes a run for it. Kang then reaches Pierre, who blocks his path and adds in a bit of smack talk while he's at it too. But Pierre proves to be a scrub when he fails to notice Bomb rushing past him. So Kang drops Bomb a dime and he easily gets past Pierre with his reverse Shinsu flow technique. Boro notices this, while Run comments that Bomb's form is looking as good as ever. In the middle of the field, Team Bomb has reached the maximum allowed spaces for each possession, so they get ready to go on defense. Yura approaches him and starts to get under his skin when she mentions Rachel. Bomb can't believe it, but Yura reassures him that she and Rachel became besties a couple of years ago. Plus, Yura even straight up admits that she's now a wanted criminal due to her association with Fug. To make things interesting, Yura also makes a bet with Bomb. She tells him that if he could block her attack during their turn, she'd give him her express ticket and tell where Rachel is. On the stands, Run plays armchair analyst and pretty much prematurely declares Team Bomb the winner of the game. He then gets a call from Dan telling him that he's located at Kyle Williams, and he's a big dude who looks like he's going to be a problem. Hearing that, Run and Novik say goodbye to Hwaryun. We also find out that other participating teams like Team Royal and Team Burrow are watching the game. Here we're introduced to Team Royal's wave controller, Royal Park, and fisherman Juglum Goat. On the other hand, Team Barrow is made up of Fisherman Barrow Barrow, Wave Controller Cherry La, Spear Bearer Dea Fluke, and Light Bearer Pompadour. On one end of the field, Boro and Rax see that Bomb has completely gotten his head out of the game after Yura triggered him with Rachel's name. Bomb starts grilling Yura, but she doesn't bite. Instead, the former pop idol tells him that she met Rachel through the Emily app and that they've been friends since. It's revealed that Emily specifically instructed her to meet Rachel in order for Yura to get what she wanted, which explains why she eventually broke ban and decided to work with Fug. She then reiterates her proposal to Bomb and tells him that if he loses their bet, he has to give her one of their tickets. Kang is around for all of this, and he's the only one thinking straight right now. He pleads with Bomb to refuse the bet and not fall for Yura's plan. But Bomb is too whipped by his memories of Rachel that he doesn't listen to reason and instead accepts it. With everything in place, Yura holds the ball in her hand and charges at Bomb. He tries to block her path with his reverse Shinsu flow technique, but everyone is shocked when they witness Yura seemingly cancel Bomb's move before zooming past him. Her teammate Pierre then starts celebrating, telling their other teammates that they made the right call hanging onto Yura's coattails. All of a sudden, Pierre unwittingly catches the ball in his hands when Yura throws it at him. It turns out that Yura passed the ball just as she was about to hit the 10-second possession limit so that Pierre would be the one to suffer the consequences when it transforms into a crazy yellow ball. We then find out that the ball just explodes like a bomb right in your face when it goes crazy. That's exactly what happens to Pierre, as he turns into meat chunks when the ball blows up in his hands. But who cares? If you ask Yura, she'd tell you it was the best call to make. Not only did she get rid of a useless bum like Pierre, which means she can now reassign his spot to another member of her team, but she also won an extra express ticket from her bet with Bomb. This means that she can add another extra player to the field. In any case, the game resets as possession of the ball is handed over to Team Bomb. Yura tries to bait him into taking another bet with the same conditions as before. Again, Kang acts as the voice of reason. He yells at Bomb to forget about any other extracurriculars and just focus on winning the game. But Bomb doesn't heed his teammate's call. Instead, he tells Kang to trust him as he accepts the bet and promises that he'll win the match for them. As a consequence of losing one of their tickets due to Bomb's bet with Yura, Rak is taken off the field, leaving the teams with an even 3v3 matchup. We also sort of get a hint that the organizers of this tournament are just making stuff up as they go along when the announcer adds in a couple more rules to the game. For one, it's now the case that defenders can only move a maximum of 1 space each turn. Then there's also this new rule stating that aside from the defender, the only other person on the team that could go on defense is the same one who participated in the jump ball. We then find out that Yura has added a couple of new defenders to her side of the field, namely Bruegel and Rositane Agel. Shortly after, play resumes with Kang taking possession of the ball. He rushes forward until Bruegel catches him, but Kang is able to pass the ball to Bomb before this happens. Agel attempts to use Shinsu to stop Bomb from advancing, but Bomb beats him to the punch. In the end, Bomb easily runs past Agel after blasting the guy with his own Shinsu. With the 2 defenders out of the way, Bomb now only has to deal with Yura. Yura then tries to activate her ability to stop Bomb from using Shinsu, but he gets one over the former pop idol when Bomb uses a fake and instead hands over the ball to Yura. The ball goes crazy and Yura barely leaps away from the explosion it causes. By the end of the sequence, the announcer says that Team Bomb was able to advance 1 space this round, but since Bomb lost possession of the ball mid-play, Yura's team will now be going on the offensive. Yura then tries to get into Bomb's head by using Rachel against him. She tells him that Rachel doesn't want to see him anymore and even calls Bomb a needy, clingy kind of guy. A few seconds later, play resumes and Bomb starts to think that the secret behind Yura's power lies in the luggage she's carrying. In any case, Yura runs towards Bomb at full tilt. We then find out that she's just been biding her time to wait until the ball is just about to go crazy again before hurling the ball toward Bomb. Surprisingly, Bomb notices that Yura wasn't aiming for him. Instead, she sent the ball flying towards Hana, who catches the ball and has no clue about what's going on in the game. So, dumbfounded, Hana holds onto the ball until it explodes in front of her face. Bomb is able to rush in at lightning speed to save Hana, but her hands still end up severely injured after the whole sequence. To Yura's credit, she made another genius play, as we find out that she was aiming to kill Hana with the ball in order to cut down Team Bomb's members. But since Bomb interfered, it didn't go exactly as she had hoped. Kang then rushes in to help Hana, and we randomly get the reveal that he used to be a doctor, which more or less explains why he's qualified to patch up Hana. Bomb starts berating Yura for being a crappy person and hurting one of her fans. In reply, Yura tells Bomb to shut his mouth and just give her another one of his express tickets. At this point, even Boro has headed up to hear with Bomb's poor performance. Bomb apologizes for losing his focus when he heard Rachel's name, as Boro yells at him to get his act together. In fact, even Rak has gotten livid with Bomb's softness on the field and starts shouting at him from the stands. Listening to all of this, Bomb asks Kang to trust him one more time and pass the ball to him during their next push. But Kang is no dummy, as he and the rest of the team become even more frustrated when they find out that Bomb is planning on taking up Yura's bet again. Still, Bomb promises that he's going to win the game for them. In the end, the other members reluctantly agree to Bomb's plan as they get to their places for another push. Bomb sizes up Yura and has become pretty sure that she's hiding something inside her luggage. The whistle blows and Bomb wastes no time rushing towards Yura. He then passes the ball to Kang, who gets caught in Bruegel's bear hug again. But this time, Kang has other plans. Instead of struggling to get himself free from the opposing defender, Kang scares the living daylights out of Bruegel. Kang does this by telling Bruegel that he's going to hold onto the ball until it explodes and kill the both of them. This forces Bruegel to let go of him, and just to add insult to injury, Kang unnecessarily juke steps in front of Bruegel before he runs past him. He then rushes toward Bomb's position. Yura notices that Igel is becoming a liability to her team, so she kicks him towards Bomb and Kang. Bomb knocks Igel away, which gives him a clear view of Yura. Kang then times it perfectly when he sends the ball to Bomb's hand with a bullet pass just as it's about to explode. In a split second, Bomb then drives the ball toward Yura's face, which forces her to use her luggage to defend herself. The ball explodes and Yura's luggage is carried with it. Yura loses her balance, which then gives Bomb a chance to trap her in a full mount before pressuring the former pop idol into telling him where Rachel is. On the stands, members from other teams look on and express how amazed they are at Bomb's play. In fact, even one of Aka's lackeys points out that Bomb is the top prospect they need for their team. On the other hand, Waryun thinks Bomb still has a long way to go when she notices that he borrowed some power from the Thorn to defeat Yura just now. Somewhere else, Novik and Run meet up with Dan to check out Team Aka, and in true Run fashion, he tells Novik and Dan that they're going to approach Aka before their match. Meanwhile, members of Team Barrel have also noticed that Yura's luggage is the thing that allowed her to stop Bomb's reverse Shinsu flow ability earlier. In the middle of the field, Bomb continues to pressure Yura into telling him Rachel's location. Yura has a short flashback where we find her screaming about not being able to live without an object she simply refers to as it. In the middle of her episode, she receives a message from the Emily app telling her that it knows what she wants. Back in the present, Yura holds true to her word and tells Bomb that she lost their bet. So she'll hand over her tickets to him and tell Bomb where Rachel is. From there, Yura concedes defeat. We then get another flashback where we see Yura meeting with the random scrubs who joined her team. And it's here we get confirmation that, yes, the luggage she's been rolling around this whole time is the one that's been canceling Bomb's reverse Shinsu flow. It turns out that Yura won the magic luggage from the workshop battle. According to her, it has 3 abilities, with only its ability to stop reverse Shinsu flow revealed for now. In the present, Yura starts spilling the beans and tells Bomb that it's almost time for him to be separated from Rachel. We then find out from Yura that Bomb and his crew weren't even supposed to be in the tournament, because it's a trap that she and Rachel had set up. At the same time, the announcer declares Team Bomb the winner of the match. Not too far away, Aka Williams tells his crony that he thinks Yura is still hiding something in her luggage. They plan on stealing it when they get on the Hell Train. Their conversation is interrupted when Novik, Run, and Dan approach his group. Things get heated between the two teams, and true to his word, Run starts running his mouth and tells Aka that they don't have to wait for their match to start. They can throw down and steal their tickets right now. Hearing this, Aka turns to his underling and we finally get a name for this guy, Moontari. Aka tells Moontari to deal with Run, so he obliges. Run thinks Moontari is an idiot for stepping up to him, but Moontari simply tells Run to shut his mouth and come at him. Run immediately springs into action and tries to hit Moontari with a charged punch. However, Run, Novik, and Dan are shocked when they witness Moontari use reverse control flow to stop Run mid-punch. A second later, Run absolutely gets dunked on when Moontari uses a move called Death of Ki. Back on the field, Yura continues to explain that she and Rachel had planned to gather all the regulars at the tournament so that Team Rachel could steal the Hell Train itself. In fact, they're already on their way to the Hell Train's secret terminal right now. Team Rachel spots Mirotic, the Guardian, nearby. Daniel then promises his crew that he'll beat Mirotic and get them all to the Hell Train's location. As usual, the still unnamed woman from their team starts whining about Daniel. This time, she complains about him not telling them the truth about the tournament. In reply, Daniel gets cheeky with her and tells the girl that he's a so-called being of a lie. On the other hand, Daniel does tell his team that he wasn't lying when he promised them that he'll take them to the Hell Train. Daniel then calls for his teammates to stand back while he cooks Mirotic, as he charges up an energy ball. According to him, this energy ball is worth 3 people. Daniel launches his energy balls at Mirotic. A huge explosion occurs, but they find out that the Guardian remains unscathed when the dust settles. Mirotic goes for a counterattack with his spears, prompting Daniel and his team to take cover. They evade Mirotic's attack, but Daniel stands his ground and blocks it instead. The unnamed woman can't help but admire Daniel and even Kasano's powers when she witnesses them. Team Rachel resets, and the unnamed woman starts whining to Daniel again, asking him how they're going to beat the Guardian. Daniel then gives a breakdown of Mirotic's power, which simply all boils down to him being an illusion expert who can't be harmed by physical attacks. In addition to that, Daniel says that the only people who can control Mirotic are the Hell Train's captain and its supervisors. More interesting, however, is when he mentions that someone like Kasano is exempt from this rule. According to him, Kasano has the power to kill even illusions. Still, Daniel showboats and tells Kasano that he's going to deal with Mirotic himself. He charges up more balls, this time jacking it up with energy that's worth 94 people. In the meantime, Mirotic summons his spears to defend himself against the impending attack. Daniel then launches his energy balls at Mirotic, who transforms his spears to turn into a shield. The two techniques clash and a huge explosion occurs. The unnamed woman is forced to transform while this happens, and we see that she's become an angel. In fact, another Team Rachel member simply refers to her by that name, Angel. A second later, Angel sees that the battlefield has been cleared up. She asks where Mirotic had gone and spots him holding a remote. Daniel then reveals that the remote he has in his hands is the same one that the Hell Train's captain uses to shut down the Guardian. We then find out that Daniel is friends with the Hell Train's captain and that he got the remote from them. Hearing all this, Angel gets furious and asks why Daniel just didn't use the remote on Mirotic in the first place, to which Daniel replies that he lied. After their argument, Daniel opens the door to Train City's entrance and invites the rest of his team to come with him to the real platform of the Hell Train. While this is happening, Novik and Dan watch on as Run confronts Moontari. They're all shocked to discover that Moontari has the same skill set as Bomb, especially considering that he's a regular. Run remarks that he finds the fact that there are powerful D-rank regulars here, but Moontari tells him that there are far more powerful ones at the other stations along the Hell Train's route. He then urges Run to just give up and hand over their tickets. In fact, he even manages to grind Run's gears when he mentions that he's killed several Kun family members on the Hell Train in the past, prompting Run to rush towards him. Below, Bomb continues to be dumbfounded with Yura's revelation, so she repeats the same thing she told him moments ago, about how they planned on luring the regulars to the tournament and stealing the Hell Train. Yura then lets everyone know that she wasn't even planning on taking her teammates with her to the Hell Train. She was just using them to get herself aboard it. There's also the fact that a few of Yura's underlings have blocked the elevator on another floor to make sure that everyone in the stadium couldn't leave. Hearing all this, Kang says she's lying and tells Yura that she's trapped in the stadium with the rest of them. But Yura's plan has layers. She hops back towards her luggage and suddenly disappears in the blink of an eye with its help. All of a sudden, Kang and Bomb are startled when Run and Moontari come crashing down onto the field. Muntari apologizes for interrupting Team Bomb and respectfully asks them to leave so that he could continue fighting Run. Nearby, Boro wonders what's going on now that Muntari has suddenly appeared. Meanwhile, Run continues to show he's got that killer spirit when he continues to trash-talk Muntari. Bomb intervenes and tells Muntari that he'll be forced to defend Run if he continues attacking his friend. Muntari has no problem taking on both of them, but they're interrupted when Boro runs toward their location to inform Muntari that they're trapped in the stadium. Bomb then supports Boro's claim, which causes him to forget about the whole skirmish and focus on how they could all escape. Muntari asks him where Yura has gone off to, and Bomb points to her luggage. Aka and the other members of his crew arrive on the scene and start to believe Bomb's story when he mentions Fug. All the while, Boro interrogates Yura's remaining teammates in the stadium to see if they know where she is headed, but they have no clue. In the end, Team Aka and Team Bomb decide to team up, with their first order of business to investigate the luggage that Yura left in her wake. Somewhere else, Yura emerges from another luggage to be greeted by a blonde guy carrying a needle of his own. We then find out that another one of Yura's luggage's abilities is the power to copy and transport. Specifically, Yura can make a clone of the luggage, set it up wherever she wants, and use the original luggage to teleport herself to its clone. According to its description, this ability can only be used once a day and the luggage can only transport up to 3 people at a time. Meanwhile, Yura tells her companion that they should get moving before the train leaves. Back on the field, no one is able to find out how the luggage works. Aka can only suspect that Yura must be making her way to the Hell Train right now. Boro and Aka then formalize their temporary alliance. Aka then turns to Bomb to ask him about how he knows about Fug and Yura. On the other hand, Run forgot to get the memo that they've struck up a partnership with Team Aka for now, so he starts stepping up to him and throwing shade while he's at it. Run gets froggy and charges up electricity in his body to fight Aka, but Dan manages to convince him to back down when they confirm that they're really trapped inside the stadium. We find out that Shia and Beta are currently at Train City's control center at this moment and have discovered no one there. More importantly, Dan lets Run know that Shia also scrubbed Train City's security footage and spotted both Rachel and Kasano together. Listening to all this, Run thinks that the reason Hwaryun gathered them in Train City is because of this very same reason. Meanwhile, Boro asks Aka if he knows about any other way to get out of the stadium aside from the elevator. Aka informs him that there's an emergency exit nearby, but it's like a long winding maze that would take them forever to go through. Hearing this, Hwaryun approaches and elects herself to be their guide, admitting that Rachel might have gotten the upper hand on them this time around. On the first floor, Rachel and her team are in front of a stairway when a large red robotic bird comes flying down from above. The bird tells them that this place is called the Helix Stairs, which also happens to be the first gate that will lead them to the Hell Train. The bird then introduces itself as the navigator who will guide them to it, telling them that it's at the top of the stairs, a place called the Platform Skyscraper. Back in the stadium, Hwaryun reassures everyone that she'll be able to lead them through the emergency exit maze because she's a bona fide guide. Boro then suggests that they split into 2 teams and make sure to let the tournament keep going. According to him, the other teams might make their escape harder if they found out about the truth about the contest, not to mention that they have to keep the administrator's attention away from them as much as possible. As such, Boro proposes for a few of them to head out and look for a way to escape, while the rest stay inside the stadium to continue participating in the tournament matches. The team leaders agree, and Hwaryun gets to work. She instructs them that she'll further split the pursuit team in charge of looking for a way out into 2. Half of them will deal with clearing the elevator from Yura's thugs, while the other half goes after them. In addition to that, they'll have Shia support them from the control center. With everything set, they spring their plan. Not long after that, the tournament continues as the announcer calls Team Royal and Team H to the arena. We find out that Rak, Kang, and the injured Hana have been ordered to stay in the stadium, as the Crocodile Warrior rants about being left behind. He and Kang get to talking, as Kang feels that the Hell Train isn't for him because he is scared. Rak calls him pathetic and lousy as a response. All the while, Hwaryun leads Bomb, Run, Aka, Boro, and Muntari through the emergency exit maze. Bomb starts acting like a backseat driver, which prompts Hwaryun to tell him to shut up and conserve his energy for whatever threat they might encounter later. We then find out that the maze was created by someone from the workshop. It was designed to be as difficult as possible, and Hwaryun even admits that finding the exit on their first try is almost impossible. Still, they trust Hwaryun with the job. Afterwards, Bomb asks Boro and Aka how they know each other. Boro tells him that Aka used to be one of his comrades on the Hell Train, but they're not really friends. On one hand, Boro thinks Aka became a greedy hound who started hunting newbies in Train City after their experiences on the Hell Train. On the other hand, Aka thinks Boro is a wuss for holding up in a hideout when they were on the Hell Train. We then find out that Aka is trying to get on the Hell Train to find a certain woman who's important to him, someone who Boro seems familiar with too. In the meantime, Shia takes point at the control center and lets the team know that Dan is on his way to help them. Hwaryun advises them to stick to the right path and to make sure to time it right when they open the exit doors of the maze. Eventually, Dan reaches a section of the maze where he finds a large red square button on the floor. He steps on it and opens a door for Hwaryun's group somewhere else in the maze. While this is happening, Beta is making his way to the elevator to deal with Yura's crew. He reaches them shortly after that and proceeds to massacre the random regulars without breaking a sweat. But there's one problem when Beta checks the elevator. Yura and her thugs sabotaged it. Somewhere else, the navigator bird leads Team Rachel through the helix stairs. They eventually reach the top, and Daniel rejoices when they spot the Hell Train. Team Rachel marvels at just how big the Hell Train is, noting that it's much larger than a floating boat or the Archie that showed up during the workshop battle. When they see a white light on it, which they identify as the entrance to the Hell Train itself, Daniel informs them that the Hell Train's door randomly opens every time, so you don't know which car exactly you'll land on when you enter. As such, Daniel suggests that they don't enter the Hell Train yet, fearing that things might get complicated for them if they do so. Angel hears this and wonders if he's lying again. Suddenly, a short man with a pet approaches him and greets Daniel. We find out that this dude is Train City Train Administrator Poro Rowe, who happens to be an old acquaintance of Daniel. Daniel introduces Poro to the rest of the team and tells them that he's the one who's been helping them out over the phone this whole time. We also discover that Poro used to be a regular who wanted to get on the Hell Train for 10 years, but he ultimately quit and instead started working as a train administrator for the city. Poro then asks them where Yura is, and we find out that the captain of the Hell Train only agreed to let Team Rachel aboard if Yura came with them. Daniel reassures Poro that Yura is on her way, while Rachel sends her a message. She gets a reply from Yura telling them that she's almost at their rendezvous point. Somewhere else, Yura's companion asks her how much more they need to run. Yura tells him to shut it and just keep moving. We then get a flashback where we see Yura telling the same guy about her entire plan. When the dude asks her why he's the only person in their team that she's confiding with, Yura tells him that's because she thinks he's better than the others. Plus, Yura thinks that he'll have no choice but to help her once she tells him about the true reason she wants to board the Hell Train. In the present, Hwaryun's group stops in their tracks to determine what their next move should be now that the elevator is out of order. Boro proposes that they go to the platform on the second floor. Hwaryun has her doubts about this, but Bomb tells her that they might find a way there. All the while, Yura and her ally arrive inside the city train entrance. She notices signs of a previous battle and concludes that Team Rachel has already dealt with Mirotech. They're just about ready to head towards the door leading to the helix stairs when Hwaryun and her group come bursting in. Yura is shocked that Bomb and his group have caught up to her and asks him how they did it. For some reason, Bomb tells her the exact details of how they reached her. It turns out that they found the path the elevator goes through. Long story short, Bomb and his friends found the elevator shaft and jumped into it. Yura then grabs her teammate and leaps in the air instead of facing off against her opponents. She also reveals that she has a remote control and presses a button on it. This wakes up Mirotech, who proceeds to attack Bomb and his group to give Yura time to escape. Near the Hell Train, Rachel is startled when she hears explosions coming from the entrance below them. The rest of her team and Poro hear it too, and start to get worried. But Daniel reassures everyone that things are going to be fine, as he elects to check out what's going on down there. He leaves the group and heads toward the lower area. In the meantime, Bomb's group have found themselves at a standstill against Mirotech. So Bomb and Hwaryun decide to go after Yura to steal her controller and shut down the Guardian. They rush toward the door, but Mirotech fires his spear towards them. The rest of the group think that they've been hit but are gladly surprised when they see that Bomb and Hwaryun have managed to dodge his attack and get past the Guardian. The two then continue chasing after Yura, while the others deal with Mirotech. Shortly after, Bomb reaches Yura and her companion. Yura's teammate decides to stay behind to fight Bomb and Hwaryun in order to give Yura time to reach the Hell Train. Before leaving, Yura asks her companion if he's doing this because he likes her. He doesn't answer and instead just tells Yura to keep running. The guy clashes with Bomb and notices that his opponent might be using an ignition weapon. Bomb pleads with the guy to step aside as Boro catches up to them. We find out that Boro was able to get past Mirotech when Aka threw him toward the door. He then tells Bomb and Hwaryun to continue going after Yura while he deals with the other guy. The two do as they are told and eventually reach their target. Bomb tries to hit Yura with Shinsu, but she's able to block it with her luggage. Still, Yura gets knocked back, which gives Bomb enough time to approach and pressure her into handing him the remote and her express tickets. Yura is saved when Daniel arrives. He introduces himself to Bomb as Rachel's companion. And as always, Bomb is thrown off yet again at the mere sound of Rachel's name. On the other hand, Daniel notices Bomb's golden eyes and brown hair, which allows him to identify the boy as Jovial Grace. Daniel teases him a bit and tells Bomb that he too is a member of FUG. After that, he proposes a bet with Bomb, for the two of them to square off. According to Daniel, he'd give Bomb his remote to shut down Mirotech if he could beat him. To make things more interesting, Daniel even says that he won't stop Hwaryun from chasing Yura and stealing her remote while they fight. He just wants to see what Bomb can do. At the same time, Run and Aka are busy trying to find a way to defeat the Guardian near the entrance. Run comes up with a plan for Aka to give him an opening for a blow that would incapacitate Mirotech. Aka agrees to it and the two get to work. Meanwhile, Yura is not too happy about Daniel making a bet with Yura. In reply, Daniel tells her that it's her fault for leading their enemies here anyway, so she has no right to complain. He then tells Yura to chill and just make her way to Rachel and the others. At the same time, Hwaryun and Bomb agree to take up Daniel on his bet. Bomb tells his opponent that he accepts and the two combatants prepare for battle. Yura then rushes up the helix stairs with Hwaryun in hot pursuit. As Yura's leaving, Daniel notices that she's much physically slower compared to the other Ha family members. But he brushes off the thought and focuses on having a showdown with Bam instead. They clash and Daniel praises Bam for his reaction time when they hit each other with blows charged with Shinsu. While this is happening, Hwaryun is right on Yura's tail. Like Daniel, Hwaryun thinks that Yura's speed is subpar compared to the other Ha family members too. Still, she thinks that she can't catch up to Yura that easily, given that there's only one direct path leading to the Hell Train. Below them, Daniel and Bam continue to tussle. They're evenly matched as they throw Shinsu blasts at each other. Daniel manages to get the upper hand against Bam with a sequence that sees him throwing another energy ball before barraging Bam at close range. Bam is hurled several feet away because of this, and Daniel concludes that he's weaker than he expected. According to him, Bam has good reaction speed and fighting skills, but his physical body is still below average. Daniel charges up another energy ball, but Bam immediately destroys it with a Shinsu. This makes Daniel wonder if he and Bam share similar Shinsu control techniques. Bam then follows up with a kick, and Daniel notices that his opponent has copied his own moves. Before he can do anything about it though, he sees Bam change stances. Bam then lunges at Daniel and assaults him with unanswered strikes. To his credit, Daniel is enjoying the whole experience seeing Bam mix up different techniques and moves. Daniel manages to break away from Bam and praise the boy's ability to switch moves and techniques on a dime. More importantly, he discovers that Bam has the ability to copy other people's abilities. Bam then gets a flashback and we find out that our boy enrolled in various martial arts schools on the 30th floor in the time leading up to their arrival at Train City. In fact, Bam has got a bunch of certificates validating that. At this point, Daniel has analyzed Bam to a point that he now knows that Bam needs to get hit by an attack first before he could copy it. Not too far away, Akka has covered himself in flames. Muntari explains that this is Akka's signature Shinsu control skill, combustion. The way it works is that Akka covers himself in super hot Shinsu that has the power to stop any attack. Akka then tells Run that he's going to use his power to block one of Mirotic's spears, which would then give Run and Muntari an opening to attack the Guardian. They spring their plan and both Run and Muntari are able to push forward. Muntari spots another spear and uses his ability to stop it in its tracks to give Run an even larger opening for a counterattack. Run makes it through and charges up lightning as he prepares to strike Mirotic. Meanwhile, Boro and Yura's companion are having a good old-fashioned sword fight. Boro notices that the guy's blade is similar to an ignition weapon, but then the guy explains that his weapon is a holy sword that he inherited from his ancestors called Krishna. Oh, and we finally get a name for this dude, as he introduces himself to Boro as Danwa Hong. Hong then goes on to tell Boro the whole story of Krishna like he was showcasing it for auction. It's revealed that his legendary sword is one of the weapons that his ancestors used to defeat a mythical beast ages ago. In the end, Hong's family trapped the beast spirit inside their swords, and Krishna happened to be one of them. He then uses it to send waves of energy towards Boro, which he blocks with his own sword. Hong is surprised to find out that Boro is able to do this. So this time, Boro starts yapping about his own techniques. He reveals that he uses something called fluid martial art to read his opponent's weapon's moves and cancel them using his Shinsu. The long and short of it is that Boro has the ability to counter any weapon-based attack. At this point, Hong suddenly reveals that Krishna is also an ignition weapon. But Boro doesn't give a crap about it. According to him, even ignition weapons are, well, weapons. So he can defend against it as he pleases. The two then clash again, and Boro manages to land a cracking blow on Hong. To add insult to injury, he even calls the guy a Uraha fanboy. We find out that Boro didn't straight up kill Hong though. Instead, he used his sword's hilt to crush his ribs and incapacitate the man. He then walks toward Hong and asks him why he's being such a stand for Yura. Hong then recalls that time when Yura told him about her true intentions in boarding the Hell Train. In the present, he asks Boro if he ever reached the hidden floor. He then goes on to explain that there's a rumored area somewhere along the Hell Train's route called the place where you can go back. A special section that allows anyone who visits it to travel to the past. Meanwhile, Daniel has found himself on the defensive, as Bam continues to give him a dose of mixed martial arts. Daniel is so impressed that he tells Bam that he reminds him of a Fug Slayer nominee he met on the Hell Train long ago. Hearing this, Bam asks Daniel if he's referring to the same Slayer nominee Boro met in the past. But since there's no indication whatsoever that Daniel even knows who Boro is, he doesn't answer. Instead, Daniel tells Bam that the Slayer nominee took everything from him. Daniel then reveals that he screwed over Bam when he accepted their bet. It turns out that Daniel, as expected, was lying all along and tells Bam that he's fallen into a trap. Near the entrance, Run, Akka, and Muntari are taken by surprise when they discover that a new challenger has arrived on their battlefield, the real Mirotic. While this is happening, Hwaryun continues to chase Yura along the helix stairs. Hwaryun then finally manages to overtake Yura when she uses her staff as a platform to cut through Yura's path and land right in front of her. She's just about ready to grab Yura when Angel appears behind her. Angel reveals that Daniel had sent her a message via the Emily app telling her to face Hwaryun. She then turns toward Yura and tells the former pop star to go ahead and meet up with Rachel and the others upstairs. Hwaryun tries to stop Yura, but Angel stops her. Meanwhile, Daniel gets into Bomb's head when he mentions that Yura's almost reached the Hell Train and that they, along with Rachel, are going to leave soon. Back to Boro, he and Hong continue to have their talk. Boro tells him that he has no clue about the place where you can go back. All he knows is that the belief that the Hell Train can get you whatever you want is a lie. According to him, it just takes everything from you while it runs through an endless hell. Bomb then asks what Daniel and Rachel are planning. In turn, Daniel just plays coy and tells Bomb that maybe it's because he wants to go back to hell. He then charges another energy ball and rushes towards the boy. At the same time, Angel has summoned a trident in her hands and lunges at Hwaryun. She berates her for falling into their trap, while Hwaryun desperately tries to come up with a way to defend against Angel and capture Yura. In the end though, Hwaryun is forced to block Angel's attack, as she asks her opponent why they even bothered with the ruse, knowing that it would have been better for their crew to keep Hwaryun and the other regulars unaware of what they're truly planning. In answer to that, Angel tells her that fooling them with the fake tournament and inevitably leading them here is also part of Team Rachel's grand scheme. According to Angel, their plan will only be complete if Hwaryun and her allies keep following them. Angel then stops entertaining any further questions as she summons a couple of large fishes and sends them towards Hwaryun. Hwaryun defends herself against the fishes using her staff, and Angel reveals that these things are called metal fish, creatures that can bite through anything. Both Hwaryun and Angel then get salty with each other before the Team Rachel member tells her opponent that they used Emily to keep Hwaryun from using her abilities as a guide. More specifically, they had Emily create fake paths in the maze to make Hwaryun think they were going the right way, when in truth they were just leading Hwaryun and her allies to them. Angel then calls checkmate on Hwaryun as she sicks the metal fish on her again. The metal fish appeared to overwhelm Hwaryun, while Bomb continues to throw down with Daniel. Bomb spots Daniel's huge energy ball and tries to block it with large Shinsu panels he conjured all around him. But Daniel slips past Bomb's defenses and manages to redirect the trajectory of his energy ball towards the boy. Bomb dodges just in the nick of time, as Daniel questionably gives him a lowdown of his powers. We find out that Daniel has been using people's souls he's collected to create living Shinsu. He calls his technique Necromancer. Similar to Angel, Daniel calls checkmate on Bomb, telling him there's no way that he and his friends could stop them from fulfilling their plans. According to him, his living Shinsu can easily subdue Bomb, while the Guardian kills his friends and Yura ultimately makes it to the rendezvous point. Bomb knows that he's in a pinch right now, but he's also aware that he has one trick left in his pocket. So, Bomb takes off the proverbial gloves and summons his thorn. A few seconds later, Bomb is able to whip out his entire thorn right in front of his opponent. Daniel sees this and instantly recognizes the weapon, saying that it contains the power of the Irregular and Ryu. But Daniel isn't worried about having to deal with it at all, as he tells Bomb that he knows the boy can't control it properly. In response, Bomb tells Daniel that he doesn't need to control the thorn perfectly to beat Daniel's head in. We then get a flashback where we see Hwaryun coaching Bomb and putting him on minute restriction when it comes to using the thorn. All in all, Hwaryun says that Bomb can only use the powerful weapon once a day for 10 minutes. Otherwise, the thorn is absolutely going to do a number on Bomb and he'd end up losing control of it. In the present, Bomb tells himself that he's going to end the spell within the time limit, but their battle is disrupted when he and Daniel notice Boro has arrived. Boro then recognizes Daniel. Somewhere else, Akka realizes that there's no way they're going to beat Mirotic, so he tells Muntari that they're going to take one for the team and save Run. Muntari agrees as they attack the Guardian. In the meantime, Beta spots them a short distance away. Back at the foot of the Helix stairs, Boro asks Daniel what he's doing and how it's even possible that he's here in the first place. In turn, Daniel recognizes Boro and asks if Akka is nearby. Boro then presses him to answer his questions, and Daniel tells him that he's going to hop on the Hell Train. Daniel adds that he came back from Hell to go back to Hell also that he could see someone he only refers to as her. Boro knows what he's talking about, as Daniel tells him to just sit back and watch helplessly just like when their mutual acquaintance Rowan died. All of a sudden, Daniel receives a message on his pocket telling him that the Hell Train is departing. So instead of throwing down with Bomb, he turns his back on the two guys and rushes toward the platform. Bomb and Boro give chase as Bomb tries to help clarify what he knows about Daniel. Boro then reveals that he and Daniel used to be allies back when they were on the Hell Train long ago. However, about 200 years ago, Daniel boarded the Hell Train again and seemingly perished then. Bomb wonders how it's possible that Daniel is still walking among them today, but Boro tells him that he doesn't have a single clue. Somewhere else, we find out that Angel has gotten the best of Hwaryun after their duel. Angel is just about ready to eat Hwaryun when she receives a message on the Emily app telling her to come back to the platform. Still, Angel doesn't heed the call right away and prepares to chow down on the downed guide. But her meal is interrupted again when Daniel arrives, telling her to hurry towards the platform and just take Hwaryun to go. Angel then notices that Bomb and Boro are chasing Daniel. On the platform, Yura arrives and meets with Team Rachel. Meanwhile, Akka and Muntari continue to tussle with Mirotic, and they know that they're in a pinch right now. As before, none of their attacks are able to damage the Guardian. But then both Akka and Muntari are delightfully surprised when Beta joins the fray and manages to actually put a dent in Mirotic's hit points with his abilities. Beta then rushes toward Run, who tells him that he'll be back in the fight in a couple of minutes. In response, Beta tells the boy not to worry about it, because he'll kill the Guardian by then. Plus, it also seems that their other allies have arrived on the scene to provide our heroes some much-needed backup. This backup comes in the form of Arkraptor, Misang, and Prince. The three witness Beta duking it out with Mirotic. In the middle of the battlefield, Beta notices that his attacks aren't landing on his enemy like they did when he first arrived. Moontari and Akka tried to coach him on how to deal with Mirotic's illusion technique, but the boy acts like a prima donna and outright ignores their advice. Beta is so uncoachable that he wouldn't listen to Akka telling him to dodge when they spot Mirotic hurl another spear at him. Fortunately, Arkraptor spots this and uses his weapon to send a blast that cancels Mirotic's spear. The team's sweet and sour members then greet Beta, who expresses his disappointment at having to work with these second stringers instead of Team Sweet and Sour's heavy hitters. In response, Misang tells Beta to just watch, as they've upped their game since the last time they saw each other. Misang then grows a flower on her hair and summons her observer. She uses it to analyze Mirotic's weak point and finds out that the Guardian's illusions are activated by a door nearby. So Misang instructs Arkraptor to aim for the door. Arkraptor shoots it down to reveal a panel, the same one that Mirotic uses to create his illusions. Misang then takes point and orders Prince to strike it. Prince leaps in the air and uses a technique called Superpower Splasher to destroy the panel and weaken the Guardian. Beta finds this opening and gets ready to deliver Mirotic the killing blow. In the meantime, Akka tells Moontari that they're going to help Beta land the final strike on their opponent. Team Sweet and Sour do the same. However, just before they land their shot, Run appears out of nowhere with all the main character energy he can muster and straight up steals the kill from his allies. In any case, it works and Mirotic is defeated. Team Sweet and Sour meets up with the others, and Arkraptor tells Akka that they have no plan of participating in the tournament. All they're here for is Team Rachel. Run asks where Kun is, and they reveal that he has already gone up the platform. With the status updates out of the way, Run tells everyone that it's about time to go back to looking for Kasano. We then get up to speed with what's happening upstairs, as Daniel tells Angel to wrap it up and just grab Hwaryun for later. Hot on their tails are Bomb and Boro. Bomb sees that their opponents are gaining some distance, so he channels the power of the thorn to up his speed. He spots Hwaryun and tries to rescue her, but Angel sends out her metal fish to prevent that. Bomb meets the metal fish with a powerful Shinsu blast, but it's not very effective. He hits them, but Angel reveals that she has the ability to split her metal fish and increase their numbers at will. She then commands her metal fish army to attack Bomb, who counters with another Shinsu blast. Again, this just splits the metal fish into more copies of itself. Angel takes this opportunity to taunt Bomb and tell him that she's going to kill Hwaryun later. Not too far away, Run and his group are rushing towards the Hell Train platform. Akka finds out that Team Sweet and Sour found out about their location from Rack. In a hilarious turn, Prince mistakes Akka for a woman too. Meanwhile, Run asks his old allies how they were able to control the flower. Misang and Prince reveals that they consulted with Verity a year ago on how they could properly utilize it. They then trained the entire time after that and, as we just saw, have greatly increased their combat abilities. On top of that, Arkraptor also informs Run that his brother, Kun, has gotten much stronger since the last time they met. In the middle of the Helix stairs, Angel calls checkmate and tells Bomb that there's no way he can deal with her metal fish. Still, Bomb charges up another Shinsu blast and hurls it at the metal fish. To Angel's surprise, she witnesses that Bomb has managed to use a single bang to destroy a large number of them. Daniel also sees this and wonders how, like him, Bomb is able to seemingly inject his Shinsu with a soul. Angel is then surprised when she barely dodges an energy blast from down below. On the ground, they see that Run and his group have arrived. Akka spots Daniel and is shocked to see him there. As for Daniel, well, he just couldn't wait to get out of there and board the Hell Train. On the platform, Team Rachel gets ready to leave, as Poro instructs them to prepare their express tickets. Poro warns them that the Hell Train is going to allow only those with a ticket aboard. If you try to enter it without one, the navigator is going to take you out. Rachel and her crew are just about to enter the train when she hears a voice nearby. She turns to see that Kun, Yiwa, and Wanyan have caught up to them. Rachel sees Kun and is absolutely dumbstruck, as she asks how they were able to get up to the Hell Train's platform. Kun keeps it cool and relishes taunting Rachel, emphasizing how lucky it is that he's found her and Kasano at the same time. Instead of trying to make a run for it, Rachel chooses to interrogate Kun about the specifics of how he and his group were able to breach Train City's security system. Kun gives a convoluted lowdown on how elevators in Train City work. All you need to know is that Kun found out there are 2 elevators in Train City, with one of them leading to the same platform. Rachel continues to be in denial as she asks Kun how they were able to ride the elevator without clearance. Hearing this, Kun calls out Rachel's stupidity by pretty much telling her that just because he found the elevator doesn't mean that he used it. We find out that, like a true boss, Kun destroyed the elevator and hitched a ride on his lighthouse through its shaft and onto the Hell Train's platform. Kun then tells Team Rachel that he and his friends will be boarding the Hell Train now. Poro starts to panic and asks Rachel what they should do. To her credit, she informs him that their team will deal with Kun and the others, since they're her problem. She even invites Yura to go ahead and board the train now. Yura then goes up the stairs leading to the Hell Train's entrance, as Team Rachel faces off against Kun, Wanyan, and Yiwa. Wanyan comes in hot too, as he tells Kun that he's got Kasano. Kun and Yiwa ask him if he's sure he doesn't want to double team the guy, to which Wanyan says he's got this. What matters to him is capturing Kasano alive to get Hworyang out of his coma. Downstairs, Daniel gets salty and tells Boro and Akka that seeing them here makes him want to throw up in the restroom. Akka continues to pressure Daniel into telling them what he's doing. We then find out that Rowan was the girl who died on the Hell Train back when Boral took a ride on it. Daniel aims to look for someone they refer to as that guy, who's hinted at to be the Fug Slayer nominee they encountered in the past. According to Daniel, he's going to use this guy to bring Rowan back to life. At this point, Daniel has had enough chit-chat, so he charges up an energy ball and blasts his opponents with it. Bomb and the others manage to dodge in the nick of time as Bomb tries to reset for another clash. On the Hell Train's platform, Kasano starts talking smack and tells Wanyan that he's about to get cooked trying to fight him one-on-one. But Wanyan isn't fazed at all, as he summons his weapon reel inventory containing a row of his signature bombs. Kasano thinks Wanyan's bombs won't be able to do anything to him, but he immediately gets humbled when Wanyan reveals that these are new and improved Shinsu bombs that he came up with during the year leading up to now. Wanyan hurls one Shinsu bomb and we find out that it's a pretty nifty weapon that releases a wave of energy that Wanyan is able to direct and control. More importantly, he manages to cut Kasano with it. While this is happening, Kun slowly approaches Rachel and tells the sniveling traitor that it's about time they had a serious talk. Rachel tries to act tough and tells Kun that they must be looking for answers to everything that she's done up until this point. Their conversation devolves into Kun throwing some much-deserved shade on the traitor. He calls Rachel a sly woman. In reply, Rachel admits that she's a scumbag, but someone out there thinks she's a star, referring to Bomb. Hearing this, Kun calls out Rachel for her lie and threatens to tell Bomb about her treachery. And just to drive the point home that Kun and Rachel are not besties anymore, he even calls her a piece of trash. As expected, Rachel is stung by Kun's assessment and starts to get violent when she summons her lighthouses. Meanwhile, Kasano asks Wanyan how his Shinsu bomb was able to harm an ignition weapon such as himself. Instead of going for another salvo, Wanyan entertains Kasano's question. We then find out that Wanyan developed this explosive with the help of former workshop scientist Sophia. It's called an antimatter bomb, and it's specifically designed to take out ignition weapons like Kasano and Horyang. Kasano knows what's up and tells Wanyan that using a weapon like this will shrink his lifespan down to just a year. But Wanyan doesn't care. According to him, he's willing to sacrifice his life to save Horyang. He then throws another antimatter bomb at Kasano. He misses as Kasano rushes toward him for a counterattack, but the ignition weapon is suddenly hit by a flame pillar along the way. He turns to see that Yua has joined the fight and realizes that he's in a pinch right now. Wanyan then takes out another bomb from his real inventory and hurls it on the ground. Kasano notices that this bomb is meant to attack him from below. He tries to jump away from the blast, but it's too late. Yua has already unleashed another flame pillar before Kasano can move. Rachel sees Kasano getting caught in the combined blast of Wanyan's bomb and Yiwa's flames, but she has a much larger problem to deal with, as Kun summons his lighthouses, pulls out his knife, and gets ready to give her a much-deserved comeuppance. In fact, Kun relishes the fact that not only will he get to kill this traitor, but he can even take out Kasano on the same day. Rachel puts on a brave face and asks Kun if he thinks he can beat her easily. And in another badass Kun Aguero Agnes moment, he gives Rachel a choice. Either he kills her quickly or he can beat her to death in the most ghastly way possible. Her choice. Kun then lunges at Rachel, who tries to defend herself by enlarging one of her lighthouses and dropping it on top of his head. She thinks she's got him, but she's dumbstruck yet again when Kun slices up her lighthouse and emerges unscathed. As usual, Kun takes this opportunity to throw more shade at the traitor, calling Rachel a despicable, helpless hag who is unable to do anything by herself. A short distance away, another unnamed hooded Team Rachel member wonders if he should join the fight. In the meantime, Daniel and Angel are almost at the platform, with Bomb and his friends right on their tail. They reach the Hell Train's terminal shortly after, and Kun, Bomb, and Rachel stop in their tracks when they spot each other. Kun tries to call for Bomb, but his voice doesn't reach his best friend. And as you'd expect, Bomb gets his head out of the game after seeing Rachel. Just below them, we find out that Akka, Boral, and the rest of Bomb's allies are unable to reach the platform due to a cave-in within the helix stairs. They're able to survive the collapsing structure but have found themselves stuck at the moment. In the meantime, Daniel surveys the entire vicinity. He realizes that Bomb and Rachel have some history between them and that Kun is one of their enemies. Not only that, but Daniel also sees Wanyan and Yua fighting Kasano. He then turns toward the Hell Train to see that Yura has almost boarded it. At the same time, Bomb is overwhelmed by emotions as he grasps at what to say to Rachel. Before he can speak, however, Rachel interrupts Bomb and asks him how he's even alive after she killed him. Nearby, Kasano recovers from his opponent's joint attack, as Wanyan pretty much tells him to just come with them so that he could help revive Horyang. However, Kasano just expresses how angry he is that Sophia created a weapon designed to dispose of him and Horyang, even when Wanyan tries to prove that's not true. Wanyan tells Kasano that they don't want to kill Kasano, they just want to bring him back alive to help Horyang out of his coma. Kasano listens to this and says that he's going to bring back Horyang one of these days. He then goes on to say that their powers are both a gift and a curse. And if Horyang doesn't realize that, then he doesn't deserve to be reawakened. Meanwhile, Bomb is having a difficult time trying to find the words on how to answer Rachel's question. Not too far away, Poirot panics and runs to Daniel. He tells him that what's happening now isn't a part of their agreement, but Daniel tells him to calm down. He then instructs Poirot to move the navigator so that he and Team Rachel could ride it towards the Hell Train. That's because, according to Daniel, mayhem will soon transpire on the platform. so he plans on using the navigator to get to the Hell Train as quickly as possible. While this is happening, Bomb finally finds what to say to Rachel and asks her why she would say what she just said. Nearby, Kun is absolutely disappointed that Bomb's here right now, since he wouldn't be able to proceed with his plan of taking out that traitor Rachel. Bomb then tells Rachel that he followed her here because he had faith in her. Not too far away, Angel asks her unnamed hooded teammate why he's not attacking Bomb, to which the man says that he'd rather check out Kasano's duel, because at this very moment, Kasano has unleashed the power in both of his arms. Wanyan witnesses this and realizes that Kasano is able to control a couple of powerful weapons, Horyang's right arm along with his own left arm. He then wonders if Kasano has managed to become a complete living ignition weapon. Suddenly, Kasano lets out a blast that Wanyan barely evades. Meanwhile, the Traveler calls for Kasano to be careful, since he's still not able to fully control his abilities. Wanyan hears this and becomes more concerned about the situation they're in. Still, he continues to fight, as he picks up another bomb from his real inventory. Below, Beta tells Akka and the others to move aside so that he could fly towards the platform and meet Kasano. On the platform, Poro can't believe Daniel's plan of riding the navigator. However, Daniel reassures him that's the best course of action to take, as he tells Poro that he doesn't think they should stay here any longer because of Bomb. We then get what Daniel's been talking about when he mentioned that and how there's soon going to be mayhem at this train terminal, because at this moment, Bomb is starting to have a tantrum after seeing what's become of Rachel. He tells her that he doesn't care about anything else other than her. In response, Rachel tells Bomb that she has something she needs to accomplish, and when Bomb asks her if this thing is more important to her than him, Rachel drives a dagger straight into his naive heart and tells him yes. Kun notices Bomb losing his composure. A few seconds later, he has a full-on panic attack, which then causes him to lose control of his thorn. Meanwhile, Yura has finally reached the entrance to the Hell Train. She fumbles her way through her pockets to validate her ticket. After that, the Hell Train's doors finally open. On the ground, everyone sees Bomb having an episode and starts fearing for the worst. Daniel spots Yura entering the Hell Train, which prompts him to light a fire under Poro to take control of the navigator so that they could escape. Poro continues to protest against this, but he ultimately relents when Daniel asks him if he doesn't want to bring Rowan back to life. Meanwhile, Wanyan wastes no time and prepares to attack Kasano again. He stops in his tracks when the ground beneath them starts shaking, however. And when they turn their heads, they see Bomb has lost control of his powers. A second later, Beta finally arrives on the platform with Run to confront Kasano. They too drop what they're doing when they witness that Bomb's thorn is transformed into a giant version of itself after Bomb loses control. Kun desperately calls for his best friend to get a grip, but Bomb has already gone far too deep in his thoughts to listen to anything else. At the same time, Poro finally agrees to Daniel's plan when they see the gigantic thorn hovering above them. Daniel then calls for his entire team to mobilize and pick up their allies so that they could all get out of there. Wanyan is just about ready to clash with Kasano again when the unnamed guy rushes in and distracts Wanyan with a blast. At the same time, Angel has sicked her metalfish on Iwa to give them an opening to whisk away Kasano. Kun sees all this happening and curses the fact that he can't divert his attention because of Bomb. Daniel picks Rachel up and they try to make a run for it. But Bomb suddenly springs into action and crushes Daniel into the ground, leaving Rachel with that trademark dumbfounded expression on her face. Because right now, Bomb is not taking no for an answer, as he tells Rachel that she's not going anywhere. He then tells Rachel that he's going to stop her. All the while, Kun continues to plead with Bomb to get a hold of himself and stop using the thorn. After all, Kun knows that Bomb is at risk of being absorbed by the powerful weapon if he wields it for extended periods of time. Still, Bomb won't listen, and Kun just becomes more pressured because of this. Bomb then walks up to Rachel and tells her to come home with him. However, he's interrupted when the unnamed Team Rachel member ambushes Bomb and tries to strike him with his huge sword. Bomb is able to defend himself and send the guy flying back with a few strikes. The guy recovers near Daniel, so he checks up on his teammate. We then find out that Bomb has literally turned Daniel into a paraplegic after attacking him earlier. In the meantime, Kun mobilizes his crew and tells Team Sweet and Sour to focus on capturing Kasano while he deals with Bomb. Wanyan agrees and continues to assault their target. At the same time, Bomb lunges at his attacker and the two get into a close combat clash. On the other hand, Kun summons his lighthouse to stop Rachel from escaping. Daniel witnesses this and uses his Shinsu to heal his legs. Kun's lighthouses then create a Shinsu prison for Rachel, but it's broken when Daniel gets back on his feet and blasts the lighthouses with his Shinsu. Daniel tries to play it cool and taunt Kun, telling the boy to call him his grandpa, but in truth, Daniel is feeling the pressure of having to wait for the navigator to arrive. Fortunately for him, Poro has finally gotten control of the metallic bird and has come to rescue Daniel. Meanwhile, Bomb and the unnamed Team Rachel member are at a deadlock, as they continue to trade blows. The hooded man notices that Bomb's blows are just getting stronger the longer their fight goes. While this is happening, Bomb starts to hear the voice of the thorn speaking to him. It tempts him to get higher, faster, and stronger with its help, urging Bomb to give in and allow himself to be fully consumed in exchange for unlimited power. In the meantime, all Rachel could do is get bitter at Bomb, as she shoots him a look and clenches her fist before getting on the navigator. In the middle of the battlefield, the unnamed Team Rachel member thinks that Bomb might actually kill him if he doesn't take the bout seriously. Meanwhile, Poro sees Rachel stopping in her tracks to give Bomb one last look and urges Daniel to tell her to get her head in the game. Daniel then calls for Rachel to get on the navigator. because aside from Bomb, Kun is also going after them. And if that wasn't enough, Boro has also arrived on the platform to try and have a talk with Daniel. Seeing Boro, Daniel unleashes a blast of Shinsu in a circle to prevent him from reaching them. The navigator then arrives, but Kun is able to close the distance between him and Rachel. In response, she uses her lighthouse to block Kun's path. Not too far away, Angel fetches Kasano on her metalfish. Wanyan can only scream his name when he sees that they've already flown several feet above and away from them. Meanwhile, the hooded man praises Bomb's strength. He then mentions that this must be the same reason why Verigarv wasn't able to beat Bomb during the workshop battle. He then shares the fact that he and Verigarv share some history, but Bomb is not here for a nice little chat. So he rushes the guy and tries to give him a kick. The hooded man blocks it with his sword and counters with a powerful slash of his sword. Bomb is knocked away, but he's completely unharmed. When the guy sees this, he praises Bomb's combat abilities further and tells him that he has reached an invincible state. The hooded man thinks that he probably met a true match in Bomb, but their duel is interrupted when Kasano and Angel arrive to pick him up. We even get a name for this guy when they refer to him as Mad Dog. Mad Dog bids Bomb farewell, as he's whisked away by the rest of his team Rachel, leaving Wanyan and the others slack-jawed knowing that they failed their mission. Kun was just about ready to accept defeat when he and the rest of his allies spotted Bomb close the gap between him and Team Rachel with a single leap. Bomb prepares to hit Team Rachel with a powerful punch that would send them crashing down to the ground. But he falls for it when Rachel stands between them and hoodwinks Bomb into canceling his attack. Rachel tells him that she really needs to get aboard the Hell Train and that if Bomb really wants to stop her, he should just kill her. It works too, as Bomb unsurprisingly powers down his technique. But we immediately find out that Bomb has been made to look like an absolute sucker yet again, as Rachel goes for her classic technique when she sees him cancel his technique. That is to say, she punks Bomb and shoves him like she did back when Rachel initially screwed him over during the first season of the Tower of God manhwa. The only difference this time is Rachel sort of apologizes to Bomb just as she pushes him toward a 100-feet fall, adding that he's not built for the tower. Bomb goes flaccid the moment Rachel shoves him and goes free-falling about 100 feet in the air. At the same time, Yura causes a bit of a problem for Team Rachel when she hesitates to board the Hell Train, thinking that there's an entirely different space on the other side of the entrance. She only starts moving again when Rachel and her crew arrive on the navigator, with Daniel yelling at her to get a move on. Meanwhile, Kun can only watch it and call for Bomb to get a grip while he watches his best friend freefall in the air. In the meantime, Bomb loses consciousness and has a dream. In this dream, he finds himself being woken up by Rachel inside the cave where they used to live. She asks him if he's alright, since he looked like he was having trouble sleeping. Rachel then tells Bomb to get up because they're taking a trip to the mountain in the west. Bomb gets all sullen and tells her that the mountain may not actually be a mountain, but Rachel insists that it is. She then urges Bomb to go with her, telling him that maybe the world behind the cave is much bigger than they thought. Still, Bomb will not shake off his doldrums. He starts telling her that maybe the reason that he couldn't enter the world beyond the light in their cave is because he's not one of the chosen ones. However, Bomb starts to feel better when he tells Rachel that it's cool if they don't get to the other side of the cave as long as he has her in his life. Bomb then calls Rachel an angel and wonders if he'll be able to meet more people like her if they ever leave the cave. Back on the platform, Wanyan and the others panic when they spot Bomb falling through the air. Kun calls for the team's sweet and sour member to trust him and orders Wanyan to risk his life by boarding the Hell Train first. Kun then calls for Beta to use his abilities to fly in the air and catch Bomb. Beta springs into action while Team Novik approaches Kun on the ground. Ron asks him what's going on, and Kun hurriedly replies by asking the boy if he could get him as close to the train as possible. Ron says he could, as long as Kun backs him up with his lighthouse. They then get into action, as Kun tells Wanyan and Yua to stop Team Rachel when they get aboard the Hell Train. Meanwhile, Team Rachel's getting ready to get on the Hell Train when Kasano asks what they should do with the unconscious Hwara-Yun. Angel proposes to keep her as a hostage for now. As usual, Rachel gets dumbstruck when she sees that Kun and Ron are preparing to leap into the air to stop them. Kasano tries to stop the two boys by blasting them with his arm, but Kun blocks it with his lighthouse. They then find an opening, so Kun calls for Ron to attack. Ron hurls one of his lightning spears aimed directly at Rachel's traitorous face, but Angel forces it to miss its mark when she deflects the lightning spear. In the end, Kun and Ron are only able to graze Rachel's cheek. Kun accepts the loss as he sees Team Rachel leaving, promising Rachel that she'll soon get what's coming to her when they meet again at the higher place. Meanwhile, Bomb remains unconscious in Beta's arms after he swooped in and caught him during his fall. In the aftermath, Team Rachel successfully gets their butts aboard the Hell Train. The gigantic locomotive then leaves, while our heroes are left stranded on the platform. Kun even uncharacteristically expresses how pissed off he is at Rachel. Meanwhile, we find out that Daniel has seriously promised Poro that he's going to bring her back to life. In fact, Poro himself also wants to revive Rowan so that they can climb the tower together again, hinting to us that he was around when the survivors of the Hell Train were still active. In the present, Poro receives a call from the captain of the Hell Train. He reports their status and the captain praises him for a job well done. Meanwhile, Team Rachel has found itself in a spacious room with an emblem of a shield with wings on its wall. This section of the wall also has a small opening at the bottom where light passes through from the other side. Yura mistakes the light as the Sparkling Road, prompting Daniel to correct her. He then explains that the light is the Revolution Road, the same path that the leaders of the 10 great families traversed ages ago. Daniel also mentions that the Revolution Road is responsible for the division and unity of the 10 great families. On the ground, Arkraptor and Boro look on as the Hell Train gradually disappears over the skies. Misang and Prince stew over their defeat, while Boro mentions that it would be impossible for them to chase after the Hell Train even if they attempt to intercept it on the next floor. Meanwhile, Kun rushes to Bomb to find out that he's still unconscious. Somewhere else, we discovered that the tournament in the stadium has now reached its final match, and it's between Team Barrel and Team Royal. On the stands, Rack continues to have a fit for being left behind in the mission. Chang suggests for Rack to join the tournament instead to keep his mind off things, all the while hoping that their teammates have succeeded in their task. Unknown to him, Kun and the rest of his allies are in a tight spot right now. On the platform, Kun meets Akka and Boro. He asks them about Daniel, and Akka informs Kun that he used to be one of their comrades back when they first rode the Hell Train. They then come to the conclusion of chasing the Hell Train and boarding it when Boro reveals that there is another way to intercept it. Specifically, Boro mentions that the Hell Train is designed to stop at a station on every floor. As such, Boro proposes that their only option right now is to quickly pass the test on the floor they're currently on and hopefully make it in time to board the Hell Train before it leaves its next stop. Boro then notices that some members of Kun's group are missing. Kun informs him that he had sent Wanyan and Yewo to board the Hell Train. It's then revealed that Kun managed to send his Heavenly Mirror into the Hell Train when he and Run attempted to kill Rachel. Before that, Kun had used the Heavenly Mirror to trap Wanyan and Yewo inside it. According to him, the two will be released once the Heavenly Mirror reaches a certain distance away from its owner, Kun. In the present, we find out that no one has noticed that the Heavenly Mirror is stuck on the ceiling of the Hell Train. Both Wanyan and Yewo are still inside the magical artifact. Back on the platform, Bomb remains unconscious while he hears the same voice from before, the one coming from the Thorn, calling him. Later at the stadium, Team Barrel wins the fake tournament when they take out Team Royal. Kun regroups with Rock and breaks out the bad news that Bomb is currently out of commission. Later, Rack has another tantrum when they pay their best friend a visit in his room. As usual, Rack starts blaming Kun for everything bad that's happened. However, the Crocodile Man gets a grip when Beta interjects and tells them that Bomb is going to be alright. He reveals that the only reason Bomb's unconscious right now is because he has been overloaded from using the Thorn. Beta then goes on to explain that it's pretty much Bomb's fault, since he got reckless and used the Thorn longer than he was supposed to. On the bright side, Beta reassures him that Bomb's going to be alright, especially considering that the Thorn is still out of his body. This means that the powerful weapon has not consumed Bomb just yet. However, Beta warns that he might end up with his body torn to pieces if Bomb continues to go wild when using the Thorn. With that aside, the rest of the group try to come up with a game plan to board the Hell Train. We find out that the train seems to stop at stations at the inner tower and the middle area of each floor. In addition to that, the train itself is considered as a test area, so people inside it are exempt from the tower's regular rules and regulations. Hearing all this, Kun suggests an extreme measure to get them aboard the Hell Train, to stop it in its tracks until they get a chance to board it. Meanwhile, Akka is in the corner of the room sulking about Daniel. He and Boro wonder if their old ally is being deceived by Fug before Boro recalls how Daniel called Bomb by the name Jovial Grace. Kang informs him that Jovial Grace is the most recent and infamous Fug Slayer nominee that went missing at the E-Rank Workshop battle. They then confirm that Bomb must have had problems with the organization, which prompted him to go against it. This makes Akka and Boro think that Fug is aiming to replace Bomb with another Slayer nominee. At the same time, we see Team Rachel arrive in a different room inside the Hell Train where they're greeted by a group of so-called Guardians. Daniel sees the Guardians and prepares to fight them. Meanwhile, Bomb continues to have a discussion with the voice inside his head. The voice reveals itself to be a red ball, and when Bomb asks who it is, the voice tells him that it's just a power, a demon that the world created. In any case, the voice tells Bomb that he's always known it, since he's always wanted to go up the tower. It then tells Bomb to reach out his hand, as it imparts a portion of its power into him. All the while, the voice says that this power will help Bomb go higher up the tower and become quite useful. While this is happening, Kun meets with Team Novik to get them up to speed with what's happening. Akka arrives to tell them that they should all leave as soon as possible because it's only a matter of time before the other regulars find out that the tournament was a lie. According to Boro, this place will be a total mess when they do. So, Akka tells Kun to take his team to the floor's main testing area now and regroup on the 37th floor. Kun asks if Boro and Akka are helping them because of Daniel. In reply, Boro says that it's more because of what Daniel is planning to wake up inside the Hell Train. Boro then reveals that Fug must be planning on replacing Bomb with a Slayer nominee that's sleeping inside the Hell Train. This same Slayer nominee was the same one who made Boro, Akka, Daniel, and the rest of their group's life hell back when they first got aboard the train, a Slayer nominee that goes by the name Joaquin. Boro worries that not only will the train be in trouble if Joaquin wakes up, but even every E-Rank regular out there. He then tells Kun that he'll tell him about how to get out of this floor, since the administrator is not around anymore, telling him to leave as soon as Bomb wakes up. Later, Kun has a conversation with someone via his pocket. Kun tells him everything that's happened up until now and asks for a favor, to have their friends on the upper floor stop the Hell Train until Kun and his friends are able to board it. The person on the other end of the line agrees. Meanwhile, Bomb wakes up from his coma, while we find that Wanyan and Yewo have freed themselves from the Heavenly Mirror, indicating that they're a significant distance away from Kun and his group. Back inside the Hell Train, Daniel has just finished taking out the Guardians. Mad Dog checks in on him and we discover that Daniel literally has the ability to gather souls and use them to either attack his opponents or heal himself like how he did with his legs. More interestingly, we find out that Mad Dog also seems to be well acquainted with Joaquin, as he tells Daniel that he can almost feel the Fug Slayer's breath from where they're standing. Sometime later, we discover that Kun and his friends have reached the 36th floor. They're currently aboard an airship called Dokja heading for this floor's test area. In the meantime, Kun has a meal inside a restaurant where he overhears a couple of random regulars talking about what happened on the 35th floor. It's revealed that the Emily app has spread fake news to cover up what transpired there. As far as the public knows, there had been just an operational error that caused the Hell Train to depart its platform before the other regulars could board it. After his meal, Kun makes his way to his teammates. We find out that they decided to split up again, with the original trio of Kun, Rak, and Bomb banding together again, while Team Novik heads off on their own. Meanwhile, Boro and Aka's team will be waiting for them on the 37th floor as per their original plan. Kun then thinks about Wanyan and Niwa. He's aware that the two of them aren't enough to sabotage the train and defeat Fug. However, he thinks that they might have a chance to do it once they're able to retrieve Hwaryun from Rachel's group. Kun then arrives inside their room. Rak starts whining about how he's been dining out every day and the two get in an argument. We find out that Arkraptor and Misang have also joined them. Arkraptor asks Kun if he's heard from Wanyan and Niwa. In reply, Kun says no and surmises that the Hell Train has a way of blocking any and all radio signals from outside. Kun expresses that he hopes he could find a way to reach out to Wanyan and Niwa to let them know about their plan of boarding the train on the 37th floor. Misang suggests contacting them via the Emily app, but they rebuff this. After all, they're well aware that Rachel has control of Emily right now. On the other hand, Bomb asks Kun if he's found any information about Joaquin, but there's no luck on that end either. According to Kun, Fug must have scrubbed all information about this Slayer nominee to keep him a secret. He then calls their meeting adjourned and tells everyone to have a good meal before they reach the 36th floor's test area. Rak starts acting like a brat again and starts an argument with Kun. But in this particular instance, he makes it known that he has no time for Rak's grating personality. Everyone leaves the room except for Arkraptor, who checks up on Kun. Arkraptor tells him that he's noticed Kun acting extra cold to the rest of the group ever since they left the 35th floor. After a bit of coaxing, Kun reveals that he's been shaken off his game due to a couple of main things. One, he doesn't know how to face Bomb now that he knows Kun tried to assassinate Rachel. More importantly though, Kun expresses that he can't shake off his worries about Bomb losing control of his powers. According to him, they have to find a way to prevent Bomb from succumbing to the Thorn's influence. And with Bomb's rapid growth, Kun is worried that the rest of them might get left behind. Meanwhile, Bomb is walking with Rak and the others when he starts to feel ill at ease. Bomb thinks that his body is changing ever since the day they got out of Train City. We then go to a flashback to a month ago when they took the 35th floor's test. Here we see Bomb's team face off against a group of regulars led by a fisherman named Bel Berhino. The announcer then explains the rules of the test. It involves two teams. One is tasked with capturing the other team's base by inserting a card through a register in the middle of the testing area. On the other hand, the other team is able to win the game if they either manage to hold off their opponents for an hour or steal each and every one of their cards. The test starts and everyone gets to their assigned spots. It's then revealed that Bomb's team has been assigned to go on defense. But it's not like this test is anything like the recent adventures that they've gone on. That is to say, Bomb and his friends aced it, and they did it in a totally dominant fashion. Instead of holding off their opponents for an hour or stealing their cards, Bomb and the others just knocked each and every one of them out. First, Rak manages to annihilate a couple of Bel's teammates named Morsung and Bullback. While Rak's doing that, Bomb is with Arkraptor and Misang. The two check up on Bomb and ask him if he's physically able to handle the test, so he reassures them that he's fine. Arkraptor and Misang then go to their designated spot, while Bomb thinks about the dream he had during his coma. Meanwhile, Kun notices that one of Team Bel's members has been nowhere to be seen ever since the start of the test. We find out that this member's name is Walken, and he's been hiding himself from Bomb's team with the help of a D-class tool called White X, which cloaks him from lighthouses and lower-level regulars. Walken tries to sneak up and backstab Bomb. However, his plan fails when Bomb suddenly knocks him out with a masterful Shinsu charge left cross that sends Walken flying. Everyone is surprised to witness this, considering that they didn't sense Walken's presence in the first place. Even Bomb can't believe that he was able to wreck Walken's face with a single blow, realizing that his body just reacted in an instant when the guy snuck up on him. Meanwhile, Chang and Quaitro express how bored they are from all the lack of action coming their way. Well, excitement wouldn't be arriving in front of them soon, because Bomb has proceeded to single-handedly win the game for them. First, Bel and his teammate Rujan try to get revenge on Bomb for flatlining Walken. We even get a bit of background for Bel when it's revealed that he has a bit of Hendo family blood in him. The Hendo family is one of the 10 great families in the tower and happens to be a clan who is famed for their defensive capabilities against Shinsu. But Hendo or not, it doesn't matter for Bomb, as he makes quick work of Bel and Rujan when they try to step up to him. Team Bel's final active member tries to get the jump on Bomb after this. However, he's easily put in his place as soon as he attempts to fly towards the boy. In fact, Arkraptor and Misang see all of this happen from their perch and can't believe how strong Bomb has gotten. There's one problem though. Bomb passes out right after defeating 4 of Team Bel's 6 members. Still, they undoubtedly show that they've passed the test. In the present, Bomb starts to get a headache while he and his friends are looking for a place to eat. All of a sudden, Bomb's legs buckle and he passes out in the middle of Dokja's hallways. Mi-sang and Rack scamper to help Bomb. Meanwhile, Kun is busy doing some research on who they'll be fighting in the upcoming 36th floor test. He notices that one of their opponents looks eerily similar to Xia. Kun then recalls that Xia once mentioned she wanted to climb the tower to make enough money to save her species and assumes that this girl from the opposing team is doing the same. His work is cut short when Rack bursts into the room to tell him what just happened to Bomb. Moments later, they all get Bomb settled in bed. Arkraptor suggests postponing the test to give them time to let Bomb fully recover. However, Bomb wakes up and tells them that he's fine and can continue participating in the test. Not long after that, we find their whole team at the 36th floor's test area. Unlike the 35th floor's test though, this one isn't going as well. Rack has found himself pinned by a rain of lasers, so he tells Quaitro to deal with whoever has been trying to shoot them. They manage to take out the other team's spear bearer while Bomb faces off against the girl who looks like Xia. Bomb also notices this fact. And as Kun correctly guessed, this rabbit-eared girl reveals that she's climbing the tower to become a ranker and help her species. She and Bomb then get into a scuffle. Bomb can feel the strain on his body, but he powers through it and tells himself that they have to pass the test and catch up to Rachel no matter what. He focuses and tries to channel the same killer instinct he had during the 35th floor's test. It takes Bomb a minute before he could find an opening in the girl's defense, as he notices everything moving in slow motion during their clash. When he notices the right moment to strike, Bomb knocks out the rabbit-eared girl with a single blow. They pass the test, but there's one larger issue. Bomb passed out again afterwards. Later, Rack blames the rest of the team for slacking off and letting Bomb carry their whole crew. However, Prince tells him that everyone's properly tending to their respective roles. It's just that Bomb has been bawling out hard whenever he's on the field. Kun agrees with Prince, noting that Bomb seems to be pressured by the fact that he needs to go up the tower faster. Their conversation then moves toward the topic of how they're going to stop the Hell train from leaving the next station. Kun tells everyone that he has a plan in place, but their meeting is interrupted when none other than Ha Jin-sung, Bomb's old mentor at Fug, arrives. Jin-sung tells him that he just dropped by after meeting with someone on the 36th floor and asks who did this to his cute little pupil. Meanwhile, we discover that Wanyan and Yua have been tailing Team Rachel aboard the Hell train. They spot Hwaryun and wait for the right moment to rescue her. We also find out that Joaquin has split himself into several parts and hid them in different places. In addition to that, it's also revealed that Joaquin has the ability to control souls, implying that he's somehow linked to Daniel's powers. This becomes even more apparent when Daniel says that he's able to track down Joaquin using the seal on his body, which appears as the tattoos on his arms. Somewhere else, a person in all white wearing a crown is sitting on his chair with his back turned away inside a dark room aboard the Hell train. In the meantime, Wanyan gets frustrated and tells Yiwa that they don't have any way of rescuing Hwaryun right now. Wanyan then goes on to give us the lowdown about how things work inside the Hell train. It's revealed that the Hell train has its very own day and night cycle. Daytimes are usually peaceful, but powerful creatures come out at night. In addition to that, passengers are only allowed to stay on the Hell train if they manage to pass through a certain number of sections within each day. Once you manage to spend 10 nights on the Hell train, you then get to a certain section when you have to take a test to proceed to the next floor. Wanyan thinks that the Hell train is currently chugging along the 36th floor, but he doesn't know if they're in the inner tower or the middle area. What Wanyan does know is that he and Yiwa have to pass the test by tonight in order to keep themselves aboard the Hell train. With that in mind, he tells Yiwa that they also have to save Hwaryun before they take this test. Wanyan then wonders why Hwaryun isn't trying to escape Team Rachel, knowing that her abilities as a guide could easily allow her to do this. In the meantime, Team Rachel finds themselves at a standstill when they encounter a mathematical puzzle that they need to solve to move on to the next room. Daniel admits that he knows nothing about arithmetic, so this is going to be a problem. Rachel makes the naive suggestion of looking for a different route instead, but Daniel tells her that's only going to make things harder for them. Daniel goes on to explain that the Hell train mysteriously creates different paths inside it whenever night falls. The long and short of it is that they might get lost if they veered away from the path they're currently taking. Given that each and every one in Team Rachel is sorely lacking mathematical skills, Daniel decides to ask Hwaryun for help. Surprisingly enough, Hwaryun agrees and solves the puzzle for them. Hwaryun asks Daniel what they're planning to do, and he replies by saying he's going to change this boring and filthy world because living without Rowan is meaningless. On the 36th floor, Jin-sung greets Kun and tells him to relax, stating that he doesn't kill members of the 10 great families whenever he meets them anymore. He then checks on Bomb and blames Han-sung for playing a part in Bomb's current predicament. He then asks to have a word with the rest of the team. Shortly after, Jin-sung gets up to speed with everything that's happened to Bomb and his crew. He apologizes to Kun and the others for failing to rein in Fug's more unruly members, but Kun reassures him that it's not his fault. According to Kun, they should thank Jin-sung for helping Bomb leave Fug in the first place, and that the reason his best friend is in a pinch right now is because he and their other teammates aren't powerful enough to protect Bomb. Kun then asks Jin-sung if he knows anything about Joaquin. He says that he's never heard the name before, but he does know one Fug member related to the Hell train. According to Jin-sung, this guy is someone very dangerous. He then advises Kun and his team to forget about boarding the Hell train altogether and just climb the tower, given that it's become too dangerous for them. But Bomb hears this, so he wakes up and tells his old mentor that he doesn't have a choice but to get on the train and bring everything back to how things used to be with his own power. In response, Jin Sung tells Bomb that's not going to happen this time. That's because if his suspicions are correct, the guy Fug is trying to wake up inside the Hell Train is someone that Bomb couldn't handle at his current power levels. Somewhere else, Hwa-Yoon solves the puzzle and the doors to the next room in the Hell Train open. Angel praises her for her efforts, and Hwa-Yoon hilariously tells Team Rachel that it was an easy puzzle to solve. They were all just too stupid at math to do it. Wanyan and Yua spot them entering the next room, so they try to go after Team Rachel, but the doors close just before they can enter it, and now they have to do some math. In the next room, Team Rachel is faced with a literal giant. Daniel recognizes him as the Bloomer Guardian and tells his comrades to get ready to throw down. Hwa-Yoon watches as members of Team Rachel struggle against the Bloomer Guardian. This prompts her to take pity on them and join in as their floor general. She first tells Mad Dog to shoot the Bloomer Guardian in the mouth with his spear before commanding Angel to distract the giant. She then turns towards Daniel and tells him to hit the Bloomer Guardian in the groin to subdue him. A few moments later, Angel, Mad Dog, and Daniel's concerted efforts bear fruit when they topple the Bloomer Guardian based on Hwa-Yoon's game plan. Rachel thanks Hwa-Yoon for helping the others finally work as a team. She then tries to weasel her way into Hwa-Yoon's good graces by sucking up to her. But Hwa-Yoon is no idiot. She knows Rachel is a scumbag, so she replies by telling her that she's too bush league to take charge of her own team. In turn, Rachel leans into her own reputation as a parasite and pretty much tells Hwa-Yoon that she'll screw anyone over in order to prove that she's the heroine of this story. In the meantime, Daniel opens another door. This time, it leads to Joaquin's room. Hwa-Yoon sees Joaquin from a distance and notices the dangerous vibe emanating from him as he greets Daniel. We then get acquainted with Joaquin, as we find out that he's a soft-looking pretty boy with long white hair. Oh, and he's super uppity too, as evidenced by the fact that he calls Hwa-Yoon filthy for being a guide. When Hwa-Yoon tries to call him out, Joaquin just gets more racist and tells her that filthy guides like her must never speak his name. More importantly, we find out that Joaquin also has delusions of conquering the entire tower and becoming its supreme ruler. Somewhere else, we get caught up with Boro's team as they arrive on the 37th floor's middle area. Boro tells his team that they'll be arriving at the Hell Train's next stop tomorrow, and then Akka must have probably met with Sachi Faker by now. We find out that Hong has become a part of Boro's team after Hana got injured and relinquished her ticket to him. Hong expresses how much of a stan he is for Yura, explaining that's the main reason he chose to join Boro's journey. Hong then asks Boro about Joaquin, as he recalls his experiences on the Hell Train in the past. We then flash back to 600 years ago, back when Boro first took a trip on the Hell Train. Here we see that Boro was in a team with Akka, Daniel, Sachi, and Rowan. According to Boro, he started out with Sachi as his partner on the train and eventually met the others to form an alliance to help them with the tests. Over time, they became close friends, so much so that we even find out that Daniel was totally crushing on Rowan, which explains why he's so obsessed with bringing her back in the present. This recollection also reveals how they met Boro, who just happened to be a random regular that Rowan took pity on during one of their tests aboard the Hell Train. Boro's old team eventually met Joaquin during their trip. Back then, Joaquin invited them to be his minions, which they accepted out of fear of being killed by the guy. We also find out that Joaquin isn't from the 10 great families right now and that he's trying to achieve his own personal goal, which he then explained as the reason why he became a Fug Slayer. In the end, Boro and his friends were forced to work under Joaquin. Eventually, Joaquin was able to turn all the other regulars aboard the Hell Train into his servants. But then, Daniel eventually found out that Joaquin had been secretly ordering his minions to kill one another when he saw Rowan murder another random regular under Joaquin's command. Upon learning about this, Daniel promised to keep Rowan's secret from the rest of their friends. In the present, Boro comments that the reason the Hell Train got its name was because of Joaquin. Aboard the Hell Train, Joaquin peacocks in front of Team Rachel. Mad Dog greets him and we finally find out about this guy's real name, Bwelsar Elliot. It's revealed that Bwelsar is one of Fug Slayer Baylord Yama's Mad Dogs, and Joaquin welcomes his services. Joaquin then turns to Daniel and mocks him for freeing him but promises that he'll revive Rowan once he gets back his full power. He then turns toward Yura and Rachel. Rachel instantly sucks up to Joaquin by offering Emily and telling him that the app will help him gather people at Yura's concert. Joaquin then plans on eating these people's souls once they get there. With their introductions over, Joaquin assumes full control of Team Rachel and tells him to continue moving forward so that he could fill his stomach. Meanwhile, Wanyan is frustrated that he's not good at math, but Yua manages to find the solution to the puzzle, so she proceeds to key in the correct sequence of numbers that would open the door. Before she could do it though, it opens to reveal Joaquin standing right in front of them. At the same time, Jin Sung and Bomb's team are aboard a floating ship heading for the 36th floor's middle area. Right now, he is speaking to a person through his pocket, telling them that he's on his way with Bomb. The voice on the other end of the line wonders if Joaquin is the same person that they're thinking of, to which Jin Sung replies that he can't be sure. In any case, he mentions that he sent the regulars who have tickets to the next station the Hell Train will be arriving at. They then talk about Bomb, and Jin Sung reports that he still has a long way to go before he could control the Thorn. In the meantime, Bomb, Rak, Kun, and the remaining members of Team Sweet and Sour are taking this time to rest. Back on the Hell Train, Joaquin asks who in the world Wanyan and Yua are, mistaking them for a couple of greeters. All of a sudden, Hwa-Yoon shouts at Wanyan to defend himself right this instant. So Wanyan summons his weapon reel inventory and grabs one of his bombs. It's futile though, as Joaquin manages to lodge his sword in Wanyan's forearm before he could throw his bomb. Joaquin then demands to know who Wanyan is, threatening that he's going to fully chop off his arm if he doesn't talk. Joaquin also threatens to eat him if Wanyan doesn't cooperate. Back on the floating ship, Rak gets all antsy and tries to confront Jin Sung and demand that he allow them to go to the Hell Train. Hearing this, Kun calls Rak an idiot, telling him that not even their combined powers would be enough to hurt Jin Sung. Kun explains that Jin Sung is not one to be messed with. He lets Rak know that the man is an ancient high ranker who was notorious for killing members of the 10 great families. Not only that, but he managed to wipe out one of them in the past. Still, Kun is just as frustrated as Rak for being grounded on the ship instead of chasing after Rachel and saving Wanyan and Iwa. In a flashback, we also find out that Jin Sung made a deal with Bomb, telling the boy that he'd allow him and his friends to make their way to the Hell Train if Bomb could defeat Jin Sung in a one-on-one duel. In the present, Rak even gets more frustrated about this, knowing that they stand no chance against Jin Sung. But Kun being Kun, he tells his friends that it's not like the only way off the ship is through Jin Sung. Back on the train, Joaquin continues to torture Wanyan and tease him that he's going to eat the boy. He only stops when Daniel urges him to focus on passing the test that would allow them to get to the next floor. Daniel then lets Joaquin know about another Fug Slayer nominee, Jovial Grace. This makes Joaquin turn his attention away from Wanyan and clarify who this Jovial Grace is with Daniel. Meanwhile, Bomb, Rak, and Kun approach Jin Sung, with Bomb insisting that he has to go to the Hell Train. Jin Sung interprets this as a formal challenge, so he slowly approaches Bomb, Kun, and Rak. Seeing this, Kun tells Bomb to stick to their plan and the three start running the opposite direction. Jin Sung wonders what they're planning, as he continues to go after the boys. While running, Kun tells Bomb and Rak that their other friends are at the floating ship's dock right now and have secured an escape ship that they could use to get to the Hell Train. They then head towards an area aboard the floating ship where non-regulars are prohibited from using their full power, hoping this would slow Jin Sung enough for them to get away. But they're shocked to see that Jin Sung has cut them off a few moments later. Jin Sung knows he'd been planning on bringing him to this area to hinder his abilities, but it doesn't work as Jin Sung tells them to give up now. In reply, Kun tells Rak to hold Jin Sung off. However, it only takes Jin Sung a second to subdue Rak. Still, it's enough time for Kun to tell Bomb to head over to the dock. Jin Sung notices that they're planning on sending only Bomb to the Hell Train when he sees Kun sending his best friend away. Kun, on the other hand, decides to buy Bomb some time. At this point, Jin Sung has lost his patience and tells Kun that today might just be the day that he gets to kill someone from the 10 great families. Meanwhile, Bomb has finally reached the dock where Arkraptor, Mi-Sang, and Prince are waiting, but Jin Sung catches up and tells him to come back. We discovered that he had just knocked out both Kun and Rak in another room, as he seriously tells Bomb to give up. But Bomb doesn't listen and just runs away. Jin Sung becomes even more annoyed when Chang and Quaitro arrive to help buy more time for Bomb. But as with Kun and Rak, the two warriors are easily defeated before Jin Sung heads towards his pupil's direction. Shortly after, Jin Sung reaches Bomb and the others and we finally get the payoff from Kun's master plan. It turns out that they weren't planning on boarding an escape ship to go to the Hell Train. Instead, the whole chase was meant for Jin Sung to be unwittingly led into one of the escape ships. When he gets inside, Kun then activates his lighthouse to teleport Bomb and the others to safety. Then he activates the ship with Jin Sung on board, sending him away. Later, Jin Sung is aboard the escape ship as he goes on another call via Pocket. The voice on the other end asks him if he plans on going back to fetch Bomb and his friends, but Jin Sung basically says that he's had enough of babysitting these kids, not to mention that the administrator might scold him if they found out he was there. The voice then asks Jin Sung if Bomb stands a chance against Joaquin. In reply, Jin Sung says his favorite pupil doesn't stand a chance if Joaquin is really who they think he is. Back on the train, we see that Joaquin has single-handedly massacred a deep-sea fish to pass the test that would allow his group to move on to the next floor. But for the first time, we see Joaquin not feeling it. But instead of enjoying the win, all Joaquin can think about right now is how much he wants to kill Jovial Grace. And there you have it, guys. That's the first part of Tower of God's Hell Train Mega Arc, aptly named the Revolution Road Joaquin storyline. We hope you enjoyed this video and we can't wait to read your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Please help us out by giving us a like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to ring that notification bell to be the first to see the second part of Tower of God's Hell Train Mega Arc. Rest assured we're currently hard at work making that video. In the meantime, feel free to check the next one. Thank you so much for joining us and we'll see you real soon.